Welcome to the Road to the NHC. It's Friday. This is the only show dedicated to tournament play, handicapping, live racing, all the strategies that you can possibly use to better yourself with tournament play, or if you're a beginner, get involved. So, welcome to the show. We also have joining me 2022 National Handicapping Championship champion, David Harrison. David, welcome. How are you doing?
Hello, Aldi. How are you, my friend?
I am doing great, and I'm standing in for Scotty today, who is off this week. So I'm happy to be here with you guys for a few hours to talk tournament play and hopefully come up with some winners for you and see you guys qualify at least from the feeder to the main slate today.
Yeah. And hello, Joe. Hello, Greg. Yeah, let's pick some winners today. Let's all have a big day today. We've got basically two tracks, right? Indy, HorseShoe Indy, and also Delaware. And looked like a very approachable card to me. So we'll get it rolling and hopefully pick some winners and get some of you guys qualified.
Yeah, so there are 6 races in the qualifier this afternoon, and that is races 1 through 6 at HorseShoe, Indiana. No, Kentucky Downs does not run on for this Friday, and I believe they may have ran last Friday. I don't remember, but they don't typically run on Fridays. Trish. All right, so HorseShoe, Indiana, first race features 5 horses. We have the 2 Work It Wendy, who is your top pick and 62%, 84 pace on the pace number. David, what did you think in this race? That's a pretty heavy favorite, and I thought there might be an opportunity to either upset that horse or find a second place horse that might pay.
Yeah, it becomes like a dilemma, Aldi, in these contest races, right? When you have a prohibitive favorite. I mean, we also have a scratch of the 4 CV Scenic Legacy, which this horse was morning line 8-1, but in my eyes, this horse would have taken some money. So that horse is off the table. So we have a 5-horse field. So it's likely the 2-horse Work It Wendy will go off at 2-5, if not lower. I mean, this horse, based on its last 2 races, this horse, she just looks outstanding here. So the question you have to ask yourself in these contests, is it worth taking the 2-5 or 1-5, or looking for a longer shot on the board to maybe upset the apple cart or finish second and get you about maybe a couple dollars more, a couple of cents more? Because usually these Friday feeders and qualifiers, there's not a lot of separation. You have a lot of participants, a lot of entrants. So sometimes 80 cents, $1.40, $1.60 will be the difference. So, but the way I like to approach it is I'm never going to, very rarely use a 2-5 morning line in these contest races. However, when you look at the other contenders here, I thought the 1 had a shot based on this horse has got seconditis. It's run 4 seconds in a row at various distances, and was racing, running for $8,000 claimers at Tampa. So, and if you look at the horse's lifetime record, 2 for 39 lifetime, 1 for 28 at Indy with 10 seconds and 9 thirds, 0 for 11 at the distance, 5-1 morning. It'll probably be the second choice in the race.
Yeah.
It'd probably be lower. I want no part of that horse. So after looking at the field, it's a pretty no-brainer for me. I think I'm using the 6 on top in my pick, Aldi Raffaella. This horse, has the benefit of winning 2 races over the Indy strip here, 2 for 11 lifetime, 2 starts at the distance with 1 win and 1 place. Second race off a layoff. I mean, I can throw that race out. To me, that's just a tune-up race. Was this horse finished 5th? and at 7.5, almost 8-1 against the one horse. But I think the 6 can turn the tables on the 1, thinking that she may have needed that race off a little bit of a layoff. So to me, I'd look for a little value. I'm going to go with my pick in the contest, the 6 Raffaella. And I guess, I mean, if I had a second entry, I probably would use the 2. So I'm going to key on the 6 here. So I'll do a 6-2 in the contest here.
Yeah, so David, we're actually in agreement here.
Oh,
so,
dangerous. That could be dangerous.
You'll notice here that I also said the 1 finishes second a lot in my notes. Mm. My question on the 2 is whether the 2 wants the distance.
Correct.
2's never been 2 turns, is, has shown if it breaks slow and doesn't get the lead that it doesn't usually win as well. And then, I just thought there were too many questions for me on this horse to take 2-5 or 3-5 here. So
correct. That's a very good point. The distance is the main issue too. Yeah.
And the 1, you mentioned this, it likes to finish second. It hasn't won a lot. It's, has 5 seconds at the distance. So I can't take 5-2 there either on that horse at that price. So the 6 is 9-2 on the morning line and 21-1 on the morning line. You're seeing some value at 8-1. Has a win at the distance. Only horse in the race that's actually won a race at the distance.
Correct.
And, I look back at this 5-1-24 race, and if it sits that trip right off the 2 and the 2 stops, and again, it's a matter of it breaking well, I think this horse could repeat that performance. It was against 56 SOR, so same SOR as this race. Was a non-winner of 2, and this is a non-winner of 2 allowance as well. So I don't see why the 6, if it breaks well, can't repeat that performance. And it has shown speed several times in the past. It just isn't consistent because of the bad breaks. So I'm hoping that Michelle Elliott, who also was the breeder and is a co-owner of this horse, will have this horse ready to go here.
So we are on the same page. And the key with the other thing that is very valuable that you pointed out is the distance question with the 2, right? Stretches out to a mile first time. However, I will acknowledge if the horse runs any similarities to its last 2 6-furlong races at a mile, this race will probably be over. But you do have question marks, so it's not. And again, I'll go back to the Harvey Pack axiom. Never bet a horse to do something it's never done before as the prohibitive favorite, right? If this horse was 5-1, I'd say, based on those races, I think this horse can stretch out. But at 2-5, it's too many question marks for me. So we're on the same page.
Agreed.
All right.
So race 2 also poses kind of a similar dilemma. You have that 5 horse at 67% here. I thought there was another opportunity for a price here, but I'm interested. Go ahead. Let's have you go with your picks first, and I'll
sure. Thanks.
Follow up. I'm interested to see if we're on the same horses again.
Yeah, I probably not here. Based on what you've said, your opening, but this is a 6-furlong. This is a 6-furlong race for Indy breds. Let's see, we've got registered 3-year-olds and upward, and this is an allowance 45,000. And this race just looked kind of logical to me as I'm going through the horses. I mean, if you look at the Scotty's top pick in Molly's Town. This horse is a logical contender at 9-5 morning line. This horse comes out of 3 stakes, was racing. The last race was 1.70 miles, which even though this horse had won before back in October of 23 at the same distance in the stakes, as a prohibitive favorite. This horse has been going off as prohibitive favorites a number of times. Actually burned money twice in the 2 stakes races, but now drops back down into an allowance race, which is logical. This horse is never off the board at Indy, has won 5 races, 2 at the distance, cuts back. So those are angles that I really do like. But so I am going to use that as one of my picks, the 5 Mollystown. The only other horse I was interested in just happens to coincide with the second EquinEdge second pick, Latigo. This horse has had a good success also at Indy. 7 wins out of 13 starts. So an 11 out of 13 hitting the board. 3 races at the distance, 2 seconds. Does come off of a bit of a layoff. I'd like to work on August 27th. And so I think the layoff normally would concern me here, Aldi. But when you go back and look at the race on April 19th of 23, that was a bang-up race, a bang-up second off a similar layoff from October. So October to April, this horse came back with a solid second at 5-1. So it gives me encouragement that this horse can run well off a layoff. And based on the price disparity, I'm going to lean towards the 6 Latigo as my top pick with the 5 Mollystown as my backup.
All right. So we're a little different here. What my issue with Mollystown, there's 2 things. Number one, it looks an awful lot like it's a money burner. You know, those last 5 races, it won 1 of those races and was a favorite or second choice in all 5 of them. And beyond that, my notes say the 5, 2, and 4 all need the lead. And the race sim thinks that the 2 and 4 are faster, and the pace number says the same thing. So I thought the 5 might not get the lead here and might be beatable. So I usually, when I put together a ticket and I'm looking for, or a play and I'm looking for an upset, I have to be able to imagine how can this upset happen in my head. I explained it in the last one where the 6 could, if it breaks well, could just sit right off the 2, and when the 2 stops, go by as an example. So here, I think it's very possible the 2, 4, and 5 just go too fast. And the horse that I thought could rate is the 6 here, who, you know, has the win against 62s by almost 12 lengths, you know, has some other top form. So I was the 6 on top, who was your second race. And then I thought, okay, well, what if one of these horses gets away? Which one's the most likely to get away on the lead? And I thought that was to the inside, the long shot, the 2. And that was my second choice. Also a little bit, you know, of second-itis like the 5 has and the 1 in the last race. But, you know, it did show when it was in the Ortiz barn that it could sit a little bit right off and just press 2. So if the 4 gets the lead, I think the 2 is the only one who can just pounce if that's the case. So I was the 6 at a price I like at 6-1 here. And then the 2, the long shot. So the second choice over the long shot as my top 2 picks there.
Right. Okay. The only question that I have, also, Aldi, is did you take a look at the 1 horse, Win Me Over? I looked at this horse for a while, but I decided to fade this horse. But I mean, this horse is a logical contender. Would you agree? But I mean, it's a competitive race, right? Yeah. So, what do you think of Win Me Over?
So for me, the thing that kind of made me think twice about Win Me Over and not use this horse was that it hasn't won a race on a dry track since 2022.
Right.
And that both those wins came on a sloppy track. If this was a sloppy track, I'd be all over this 1 horse right now.
Right. Yeah. The only reservation I have or concern about the 1 The last race against Open Company is not restricted to Indiana breds. So I don't pretend to be an Indy Horseshoe Indy expert by any means. I just handicap the race. I don't play there a lot. In all honesty, I play, seldom, or maybe once a week. But if that competition was better and that was a turf race, try turf at 5 furlongs, which is probably too short for this horse. This horse could be dangerous. But with that being said, I'm still going to focus on the 6-5. I just wanted to get your opinion, what you thought about that horse too.
Yeah, no, and I think that there are, this 4 is an interesting horse too, but I just think there's too much other speed here. But if you're looking for a horse that's going to get you close to a capper, this might be a capper.
Lucky, this horse is very speedy. I will tell you that much. Yeah. And the one thing, if you're considering, again, any contest, or if this is you're at the NHC and this is one of the races, I mean, sometimes you have to look for a little chaos and a little price. But I mean, obviously, if the 2 ever got off slow, because 2 back, the 2 did get an awkward start, and this horse could be on a clear lead. So I mean, there is some support at a pretty big price. So I wouldn't argue with anybody who uses one of the speeds. But also Mollystown will be up there pressing, so it could be a lively pace. Yeah. But with that being said, I thought the 6 was the most value here.
Agreed. All right, so race 3, much bigger field. Some trainers that everybody knows too from other tracks. So I
got Open Company.
Open Company, maiden special weight, 2-year-olds, going 7.5, which is 2 turns at Indy. So, David, did you have anything you liked here in particular? I had something that I thought there were a couple things pointing to here, and I liked in my handicapping, but I'm curious where you were on this race.
Yeah, after going through it, Aldi, I sort of narrowed this down to me one of these 3 horses that I want. It was the 5, 6, or 7. Right. Let's go to the horse who's run on the turf before. That's the 7, Swan House. Yeah. This is a hard spun out of Danzig. I love hard spuns on the turf. This horse debuted at the 7.5 furlong distance, and that was a pretty decent 4th. And this horse was bet in the 9-horse field. Had the rail post though, and it was a good turf course. So based on that last race, I think this horse is logical. So then I'd look at the other 2 horses that I have an interest in. I'll go to the 6, Our Shenanigan. This horse is a practical joke. Let me see, I just want to go through the GSRs again. Let's see. So the Our Shenanigan's got a 48 compared to Swan House at a 61. But these practical jokes, they can run on the turf, in my opinion. This horse debuted at 7 furlongs on the dirt at Ellis Park, showed a little speed, and it's not a bad first race for this horse. So first time turf, this horse could be a contender stretching out. But out of the 3, the horse I think that I am going to focus on here is the 5, Bred to Run. Thinking that these first start on the turf may help this horse. This horse ran twice on muddy tracks, so we don't know what this horse is going to do on a turf or track, a turf surface. Second time in blinkers, showed speed last time out with the addition of blinkers. But out of all of these 2-year-old horses, I like the 5 a little bit here better than the 6 or 7, only because of the cutback. This horse stretched out to a mile. In my eyes, this horse, that's good conditioning for a horse, especially a 2-year-old, now cuts back to 7.5. The question is the turf, but based on being the longer of the 3, longer price of the 3, I'll always take a shot with that. First time turfs are usually one of my go-to moves, especially in these maiden races. That some horses can drastically improve by switching surfaces. I normally don't consider Authentic as the sire as a huge influence in my turf plays, but we've seen horses run okay in that scenario. So based on the cutback, also this horse had the inside post, which showed speed, and that's tough to go at a mile from the inside post. So I think on the cutback, I'm going to lean towards Bred to Run number 5. And with my second pick, with 2 entries, I think I'd have to use one of the others. It's basically going to be a coin flip. There's 6 or the 7. And I think based on that first race over the turf, I'd probably lean to the 6. So I'm going to go with a 5, Bred to Run over the 7, Swan House, with the 6, Our Shenanigan being a nose behind the, it's almost a coin flip behind the 7. So 5 over the 7 for me.
All right. So here's where we're reverse here. So I'm 7 over the 5 here. Walsh horse, he's pretty good on the turf. He's 15% with 7 second-time starters as well. What kind of drives me crazy about him is that he's been working most of his horses on the synthetic. And I would love to see a turf work here to see how this horse is taking to the turf. But I agree with you on Hardspawn. I think this horse was probably good enough to win last time out. That was a 52 SOR maiden field, so very good maiden field. This is only a 44. So for me, when I added all those elements up, plus the effort over the turf that I thought was pretty good, for me, Swan House was on top for me. And then, and I agree with you on the 3 horses, by the way. The Bred to Run, the question for me was it the slop? Did the horse not like the slop? Or, the concern for me was the horse kind of stopped last time out at Ellis.
Right.
And I think this horse gets the lead here. And I'm just concerned that it will stop again. The race sim has the 6 going with it, and the 7 being right there as well at first call. So, I'm just questioning that a little bit. And then the 6, Our Shenanigan, who's top win percentage, but second pick, that low GSR and the drop in GSR for Brad Cox was what, kind of put the 7 over the top of the 6 for me.
Right. So 7-6 for Aldi and 5-7 for me. So we're on the same page with the 3 horses. And yep. Yeah. And
the race sim has the 5 winning with the 6 in second. So, I guess we should talk for a second. What did you look at the 3 horse Tony Marie, who has a big GSR bump here?
Yeah, no, to me, based on those 2 races, this horse doesn't look like this. To me, this horse may not be a runner at all. So off those 2 awful races, I know it's trying turf for the first time, but you got to show me a little bit of form. So to me, that horse is show me yours. I wouldn't use. So to me, the 3's a throw out. But the horse that I think may benefit from, if there is a contentious pace, maybe the 8. Even though this horse didn't really lift a hoof, past tired horses was the comment, but drew an outside the 10 post at a 5 furlong sprint, stretches out. So, I mean, I could see the 8 running late, but I don't think enough to get first or second there. So that would be the only other horse that I'd be concerned about as a long shot, the 8 shellacking.
I will say
sorry.
It's all right.
Hey, Mike Bradella, thanks for the compliment. I hope we can be great handicappers today. Mike Saletta, how you doing, my friend? So
yeah. All right. So on the 3, the only thing that caught my eye was that Sophie Doyle doesn't have a lot of mounts, and she's aboard this horse. So, that caught my eye a little bit. Maybe this horse can run and just wants turf, but I don't think to use on top here. But if you were looking for the second place and get a big price in second place strategy, that horse might be one to take a shot on.
Yeah.
All right, race 4. We are going 5.5 furlongs, 15K, non-winners of 3 lifetime, state bred. Here, a 7-horse field, which is a pretty decent sized field at Horseshoe for this type of race. You have 3 horses with the same win percentage here. And then you have the second choice on the morning line who's just behind them. So really looks like the odds maker and the win percentage line kind of think that this is a 3 or 4 horse race.
Yeah, Aldi, I struggled with this race, to be honest with you. I was looking for a little, something that may have been a moderate or long shot horse here, and I just, I could probably make a case for using everybody here, but since we have to make a pick as a contest race, I almost settled on a hunch play. The 5, Mr. Negativity. My wife calls me Mr. Negative at times but I call myself Mr. Realist. I always hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. And so that would be a good, but a hunch play to me is never going to be 9 to 5. So a hunch play would be at least 15 to 1 on a name. But this horse is an obvious contender. I mean, it's been at this level for a while, won pretty handily as the favorite back on May 13th. But my question is, after that, this horse has been in the same class, shows speed in a lot of these races and presses the pace and just doesn't show any real kick. So 5.5, I think, may help this horse cutting back, because this horse may prefer 5.5, even though never won at the distance I see. So this horse did interest me some. The other horse I took a longer look at was the 3, Forever Lasting. This horse was claimed 2 back for $5,000, dropped down to the bottom. And that $5,000 claimer, this horse did show similar profile to the 5, did show some speed and kind of gave way. And then was claimed, moved up here, and pressed the pace and hung on for 3rd, which is an even race. And I go back to when this horse broke its maiden for $10,000 as a prohibitive favorite by 15 lengths. I guess that was a small 6-horse field. And so when I compare then I took a look at the 2, but this horse has been in this condition for a couple. And again, a lot of these horses have the same profile. They just seem to run evenly. So I struggled, to be honest with you, in this race. And I think what I decided to go with the longer of the 2 prices. So I'm going to go with the 3, Forever Lasting, which is the EquinEdge second pick, over Mr. Negativity. To me, those horses seem logical. Even though I'm not sure off the claim there didn't seem to be any improvement, but it's almost like a guessing game. So I'm going to go with 3 over the 5 here, 2 logical contenders. What were your thoughts here, Aldi?
So I went a different way here, and I looked at the 6, who, these are all horses to watch. The 6, same win percentage, is a long shot. And in the case where it's really hard to find a horse here and have an opinion, I went with the horse that had the biggest price on the morning line, hoping as much of that 12 to 1 as possible, rather than the 5 to 2 E morning line. And the 5 to 2 did stand out. You have the bug aboard here, so you're only carrying 112 pounds for Eggleston. And, so I think the weight break may help. This horse won 2 back. Granted, it was in the slop, so I'm not sure if this horse just wants to slop. This horse as well, showed it could rate a little bit, even though the pace number is showing similar. So I was thinking maybe, in a race where everything just seems wide open and, you can make cases against every horse in this race, that the long shot is the place to be. And so I'm on the 6 in first. And then I really struggled between the 3 and the 5 as well for second. I ended up with the 5 in second because I just thought the form might be slightly better. And I don't like the claim to Haran from Garcia. I think Garcia is actually a better trainer. And, knowing and watching some both Kentucky and Indy racing, you'll see a lot of low percentage Haran horses. And for me, that was what the difference was, even though I know the price, if there's a scratch, is better on the 3.
Right. So
I thought that the 2 needed too much of a pace meltdown to get there.
Yeah. Okay.
As well. And then I really thought the 7 and the 1 weren't a factor at all. They were horses I would do that to. And, the 4 might have a little bit of a look.
Right. Okay.
And that's mainly on the drop there.
Right. And I think the point was, too, that if you look at the majority of these horses, they're in it. I mean, you could probably make a case for anybody here, right? That's on their best day. But who's going to have their best day today, right? So this is to me, out of the first 4 races, I thought this was the most difficult race until we get to the 5th. Right?
Yeah.
That's even more wide open.
Oh man, this race was a mess.
Yeah, this race I'm going to need to talk through a little bit because I still haven't settled. I'm bouncing all over the place here. So let me just pull up my EquinEdge here. Usually when I see a race like this that seems inscrutable to me on the surface, I'm looking at first, is there anybody with their pace factor edge? And I don't see it. The 6 Prince of Pennies has an 86 metric as the pace factor. This is a 5 furlong dash on the turf. So speed is, real important issue here, right? But if you get into a speed duel, it could set it up for somebody stalking the pace. So I was all over the place here. I'm looking to see who's won at the distance, who can possibly, or over the surface. And the first horse that kind of stood out to me, and then I looked at the price, was the 9 Campton. This is for Steve Asmussen. Yeah. This horse has been in a $10,000 claimer for the last couple. First time on the turf was last out, and this horse from the 3 post made a big rally and just missed. So based on just off that race alone, that horse is a contender, but it looked to me on the surface that was a really, really intense, fast pace. So this horse may have benefited by a contentious pace. So I'm going to keep looking because that 9 to 5 really doesn't appeal to me. So then let me just make sure there's no late scratches here. Correct? Yeah. So then I looked and I'm like, okay, well, the pace scenario is the 2 horses with the most speed of the 2 and the 6, right? So I looked at the 2 first. Now this horse is 1 for 18, right? And majority of this horse's races were at 4.5 furlongs on the dirt. The 5 furlong race was in June 22nd, showed some speed, and maybe that's a little bit of an improvement. But this horse looks like a pop and stop to me. So to me, this horse, I don't want any part of a 15 to 1 shot here. And Prince of Pennies ran for 62.50 last time out. Birkin's the maiden. So it steps up here. So there's another horse I don't want a part of. And so I'm going through a lot of these, and I can knock holes in a lot of them. But Deep Strike, the 4 is a contender, I thought. But this horse doesn't have much speed at all and be flying. This has got a 25 pace factor. So I'm looking for somebody a little close to the pace. So I settled on a 10 here. Don't Stop. This horse has only tried the turf once in his last time out. at a $10,000 claimer. And this horse also rallied, but couldn't get to the point of photoing with Compton and the 4 Deep Strike, who finished ahead of this horse. This horse draws the outside post, can stalk, I think, got a little more speed than the 4 or the 9. So with the stalking trip off the speed, I settled on the 10 here at Don't Stop. And for a second pick, I couldn't come up with. So I had 2 entries. I'd probably just at the 8-1 morning line, I'm just going to go with the 10. Don't Stop.
Yeah. All right. So I'm a little different than you here, and I agree with you though on your assessment that this race is a mess. I did not like the speed. Though, if I had to choose one of them, it would be the 6, who has 2 seconds at the distance. But, I landed on and I've been going back and forth, so I'm landed for now on the 4 as my top choice, Deep Strike, top GSR, almost won last time out on yielding turf. I think will benefit from the firm turf. Has shown a little bit of speed in the past and breaks pretty well. And that's what I noticed on a lot of these other horses is they're not great breakers. And, really has been, falling down the class ladder as well. So we'll see, whether this is the right spot second time out against 10K non-winners of 2, but 3, 2 back, this horse was running against 30K claimers. So I just think that maybe this horse on dry turf with the class relief could show some more speed, as well as might be a little better than the 9 or the 7 here, who are your E top choices.
Right.
And then, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, and the one thing the 4 has going for it is that this horse has a lot more experience on the turf, right? Yeah. This horse has got 10 turf starts and got a couple of, that's 1 at the distance, 7.5, broke its maiden back in September of 23. So a seasoned veteran on the turf, the 4. So
yes. And then the other horse, and this horse is only 3%, but Knack Bolt, the 1 horse, has shown speed in the past when it breaks well. Had this pretty good turf effort against Similar at Belterra on June 1st for Evans here. And even though Evans and Correa aren't, the greatest jockey and trainer, they're 27% as a pair. And in this race where not a lot of things stood out, that stood out to me as a possible angle to play there at a price on the 1. So I've been going back and forth between the 4 and the 1 here. If I get that Belterra 6-1 ride, I think this horse has a chance. Whether a chance means second at a huge price or first, those are 2 different things. But I would take second here at 12-1. If I end up with the 1 on top, which I'm leaning towards going back to the 1 on top here.
The 1 on top. Okay. Yeah. And Aldi, this horse was bet the last time out in that 10 horse field, had a 10 post, now draws the rail. So you go from one extreme to the other, and 6-1 last time out. So in a competitive field, and ran against Compton, Deep Strike, and also the 10 Don't Stop. So this is going to be interesting how this develops here, but there's a lot of horses with a shot here. So, and again, we've seen it before, 10 horse field at 5 furlongs. Speed is the key, and the trip is the key, because there could be a lot of horses flying here late in the game.
Well, as well. So I'll run for this one. It might be worth running the race sim just to give another opinion here, because it's so wide open. I'm just going to take the screen down a little bit.
Yeah, we have time. The first race doesn't go off for another almost half hour, right? 2:10.
Yeah.
So, run. That would be great.
All right. So, and maybe, I'm looking that the 6 is 12% to win too. and maybe I shouldn't be ignoring that so hard, but you see, about, let's call it right after the turn, the 6 just seems to stop in the race sim. And then it's the 9, 7, and 4 who are closing with the 1 and the 10.
Right. And the 6 does, the more that I look at the 6 does scare me a little bit at that 30-1 morning line. Because if you go back to June and July of 23, 2 turf races, this horse held on pretty well. Finished second in both of those starts and was bet. And then last race, if you go all the way, it dropped this horse all the way down to 5,000 at Turfway and didn't lift a hoof. And then it goes back to Indiana Downs and Indy. I mean, and it's like 7 length win at a prohibitive price. So maybe not its best day, but yeah. To me, it looks more like a stop and pop type of horse, to be honest with you.
Well, and it is moving up in class, and Elliott Shell Elliott off the layoff's only 2%.
Right.
And I don't think I want to take that risk, but I see what you're saying, though. There have been several times where this horse was close to getting home on the lead, and if for some reason this 2 doesn't go, the 6 is going to could get a really easy lead here.
Right.
And vice versa too. So
right. One of them gets off slow, they could have a long shot just sailing on this 5 furlong course, right? Speed kills, as they say. So we'll see how it goes.
And the 6 did break slow last time off the layoff too.
Right.
As I look at, let me see if there's another layoff line that we can. No, that's the only layoff line that we can look at. But I'm going to stay with the 1 and the 4. But I think the 6 has at least a chance there.
Okay, so 1 and 4. Is that your final answer? I'm going to lock you in.
That's fine. Yeah, lock me in.
1 and 4. I don't have that noise so we don't have that the props that Who Wants to Be a Millionaire has, but I'll lock you in. 1 and 4.
We also don't have the lighting.
Correct, and we don't have the prize money that they have. So
yes.
Well,
if you win the NHC, though,
it's close. Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah, if we get anybody qualified to go on to win the NHC, hopefully they'll give us a shout out, right? So, but we're not looking for any percentage, just a shout out.
Just a shout out, exactly.
Okay, and it's 10. Just to reiterate, in that race, the 5th race for me, it's 10. And I guess Aldi has talked me into it. So if I had 2 entries, I'd go 10 on one and 4 on the other. So Don't Stop over Deep Strike.
Okay. The Horseshoe race 6, pretty big, low-level maiden field. But I thought this, David, might only be a 2-horse race. And, so between the 2 horses, I went with the higher price, but I'm interested to hear your thoughts here.
Right. So when we have a maiden $7,500 claimer, the first thing I look at, besides looking at the pace factor, is I'm looking for who's the biggest drop down. Is there a horse here who's outclasses this field based on the drop down? So as I'm starting to go down through the 1 Free Rambling Man, this horse has been racing in a maiden special weights exclusively, a $100,000 maiden claimer back at Keeneland back in October of 23, and just now dropped down his last race to a 30,000 claimer on the turf going a mile, and never a factor, but had the outside post, the 12 post. And this horse is a Bernardini, so I mean, for Bernard, you don't see too many Bernardinis, in my opinion, racing for 7,500. So this horse is a huge drop down, draws the rail, blinkers on, very logical to me. But I don't see any love on the EquinEdge of Scotty's picks, so that leads me to further take another look. But I mean, if this horse runs back to some of its earlier figures or races back, last year, this horse could romp here. And so I started looking for other possibilities. So I go down to the 4, See the Skies. This horse drops down from maiden special weight to 7,500. Those maiden special weights were a turf weight on the synthetic. So there's a totally different ball game. Got the long layoff, trainer change, blinkers on. But in a $7,500 claimer, this could be the right spot for the horse. But my first reaction would be, I'd like to see a race before I invest any money into this horse and have any faith in this. And then I'm looking at some of the other drop downs. The 6 is 0 for 13, not interested. The 7 just looks like it can't run. The other drop down, not as much, of course, is Gun Show, the 8. Now, this horse was raced at Churchill 2 races. This was a Brad Cox horse and was claimed for $20,000 by the trainer. Is Gennaro Garcia, right? And off that $20,000 claimer, this horse showed speed and just totally stopped. All right. And if you look at the other finishes, we got an 11th place finish by 43 lengths. The race before that ran basically dead last after showing a little speed. And then the last race, too, at 12.5, off the layoff, this horse looks like a stop and pop. But is it possible that this horse can outkick the one horse and hang on to the wire? I thought this was an interesting long shot possibility. And I looked at the 9 True Prodigy, was racing for maiden 5,000, second off a layoff. Runs back to that race, is probably a contender here, but I don't like the racing for 5. So I'm going to settle on one of the drop downs. And I guess because it also coincides with the EE long shot or the Scotty long shot, I'm going to take a risk here and a shot. I'm going to go with the 8 Gun Show on top of the 1 Free Rambling Man. So it's 8-1 for me, Oldie.
Yeah, so I'm in a completely different place than you are. Yeah. For me, what I saw here was this horse was claimed for 20 and then entered for 12.5 and now is being dropped to 7.5. And that tells me, number one, you typically don't claim a Brad Cox horse who can run and see it improve. And B, that they may just be trying to cut their losses and dump this horse at this point. Though I will say my pick has the same angle, so to speak, because the 4 is dropping from 70K maiden special weight directly into a 7.5, which tells me that maybe this horse can't run at all. But I think at 8-1 on the morning line and with 24% to win, and 4-1 on the E morning line here, and it was taking a huge drop. This is where I ended up. West, pretty good trainer. This was a breeder owner on this horse, so they may have also just decided to cut their losses. But 7.5 is pretty low to cut your losses. Free Rambling Man, the 1. So I was 4-1 here.
4-1.
Thought this might just be a 2-horse race. I throw out the last race against Maiden Claiming Company on the turf because I just think the horse didn't want turf, and that's why I think it wasn't a factor there. But I don't put that much value into those Mountainair maidens that it was running in this year. They were only 16K maiden special weights. Those seem to have been really weak fields. So for me, on the trainer change to Calhoun and getting Torres, those were both upgrades. But I didn't feel, at least this year, that the drop was that big for this horse. And that's why, between that and the price, is why I ended up on the 4.
Right. So for Oldie, it's 4-1, and for me, it's 8-1. Yeah, with the drop down, I mean, the 4, it's such a long layoff, and the 2 races were a turf race, so that's synthetic. So this is a totally
Yeah.
new ball game. But that's such a huge class drop. And again, we're guessing if you're using that horse, it's a guess that this horse is going to be able to run on the dirt. But based off its last 2 races, this horse may not be able to run. But the same could be said about Gun Show, my pick, right?
Yeah.
You look at 3 races, like somebody who's a novice could be at the track with saying, well, Dave, how do you possibly like a horse that ran 7th, 11th, and 5th? And basically, so 2 of the races were dead last, and the last race, it was just totally disaster after showing some speed. So, but it is a 7. My response would be, my rebuttal would be, well, this is a $7,500 claimer, so
Yeah.
you're not going to get a lot of, good performances here, right? So, yeah. And Mike, you're right. The 4 hasn't run this year, but and the layoff, I checked the layoff. The trainer's 5%, so that's swayed me a bit too. Hey, Justin, how's it going, my friend?
Welcome, Justin. Was there any other horse, down towards the bottom here that you thought is a long shot could, finish in the money, or
I
doesn't
didn't see
necessarily have
that.
to win?
And in all honesty, I was a little disappointed when I saw the late scratches come out, because I was going to be all over the 11, Carl, off the drop down. I just thought this horse coming off the drop down from 16, 4th race off in his career, that this horse had a big shot. But we'll never know, because the horse is out. So, but I couldn't find anybody. To me, it's the most logical horses are the 1, 4, 8, 9. Other than that, I wouldn't consider anybody else. But Mike, I see, likes the 9, and that's obviously, if this horse runs back to its last couple of races, it's going to be right there. But I'm looking to go with a little bit of a bigger of a price.
Now, my only other thing that I sort of see here, there's a cluster of pace numbers towards the 59 to 66 in the top 4 there. Could we maybe get a pace meltdown? And the question would be, then would somebody like, I'm looking to see if anybody has done any late running, and I don't see anything, but somebody like the 6 maybe, and I'm just taking a flyer as the top pick there, might be an angle, but I just look at this horse and I just don't think it's good enough. But if you look at this is where I kind of came up with this, was from the race sim. Come on. Kind of made me think we could get something like that.
So, Justin, just to respond, Justin, I see you're listening as you work. Are you also whistling while you work? That's the big question of the day. Are you listening and whistling while you work? I don't think you have enough time to whistle based on your responsibilities at your occupation.
Justin's a well-known whistler, though. So.
Oh, okay. He'll be whistling at whatever his 5 p.m. time, or whatever when he's leaving the building. No whistle. Okay.
And Justin, to answer your question, yes, I'm playing the tourney. And I also thought the main slate was a little more interesting too, with some of the late races here and a couple of the Del Mar races. But we are about 12 minutes from first post for the first race. I take a look at the first race of the main slate, which is race 8 at HorseShoe. And then we can
and then we'll go back and so let's go. We're staying at HorseShoe, going to race 8. Let me just load that up.
All right. Allowance non-winner of 1 state bred, by the way. And that there there's 3 horses below 5-1 here on the morning line.
Mm-hmm.
And you want me to start if you're still working?
Yeah, just start because I'm just getting my thoughts in order here. So if you can go first, that would be great. Thank you.
Yeah, so I thought the top pick, the 9, was gonna be tough here. No pun intended. Is a slight drop. Has kind of burned money the last 3 times out at this level. But I thought this horse could sit a trip here from the outside post and benefit. Those were smaller fields that it wasn't able to get home for Eggleston. And the other horse I liked here was the 3 Beach Dancer. Same trainer, picks up Machado, who's an excellent rider, was your one last time out as a maiden. This is a very, very reasonable attempt at a move forward where you're only going up 6 points in SOR. So I thought this horse might be able to sit a perfect trip from the inside. And, at 9-2, you could, and 3-1 on the morning line, you could get a decent price here to start off the slate.
Yeah. I looked at it the same way, sort of. All the reluctance I have with Beach Dancer, or the concern I have, is that this horse just broke its maiden. She broke her maiden last time out, and then it's now facing winners. But off a win, this always not that I question trainers' moves a lot, but off a win, a comfortable 2-length win at this horse was the prohibitive favorite in both the starts and failed the first time out. Why put blinkers on off a win? I never understood that, unless it's obviously the trainer has the inside information, knows the horse a lot better than we do. So it's always a move that I start questioning, like, well, what's I can see off a loss or the lack of speed. So that's, again, let's see, watch how this horse runs with blinkers. So this horse definitely has a shot, but I'm going to be a little reluctant to land here or pull the trigger because of just breaking its maiden and stepping up in company. So is gonna be tough. And like I said, no pun intended, I'm copying your line. It's just too good to pass up, to be honest with you. This horse did burn money last time out, was offered 4-5. And this horse, before the blinkers off. Okay, so we had a horse with blinkers on who in 2 races in a row came up short. At 2-1. The trainer takes the blinkers off, didn't make much of a difference, but ran a decent second. But when you're 4-5 in a 6-horse field, you're expected to win a race, right?
Right.
So no equipment change, so no workouts. So I'm not sure if this horse is going to improve at all. But even if this horse doesn't improve, this horse is probably going to be first, second, or third. Now, with that being said, I'm a sucker for looking for a price. And as I'm going through here, I kind of settled on, I took a long look at the 7, Pewter's Promise. And the one thing that stood out to me was on August 31st, this horse had a bullet work. It looks like 4 furlongs, 48-2. It was the first of 32 horses that were working out that day. Now, if I go back in form, this horse was at Oaklawn at maiden special, and then dropped down, if you want to call it a drop down, to a maiden 100,000, and ran a 4th in even race, and broke its maiden when they shipped this horse to HorseShoe Indy in a maiden special weight, won by a head and was bet. So good spot. Then moves up in condition against allowance horses, presses the pace and then tired. The next race on June 4th was a little bit of an improvement. But I don't know what happened the last race. Didn't show any improvement, like almost regressed. But because of that workout on August 31st off the short layoff, maybe the horse had an issue that race. I don't see any trouble line. And this horse has won on the course. And if you look at the race that this horse won at Indy at 5.5, it compares to the threes victory. So
Yeah.
at the morning line price, I'm interested in the 7 Pewter's Promise. So I'm going to go with the 7 Pewter's Promise. And it's like I guess over the 9 gonna be. And to me, it was a close call for second between the 3 and the 9. So it's 7-9 for me.
7-9. All right. So let's pull the track up and take a look at the horses for the first race. I'll remind you that David, I believe we were both on the 6 here.
The 6. Yes, and what? Let me just pull that up. What's the price? 13-1. That's exactly what I want. So even if the 6 finishes second against the prohibitive favorite, right, you should get at least what this 2 is going to pay for win place, and maybe you'll get a few dollars more. Even if you get 80 cents or $1.20 more, then that was the right play for second, the 6. So yeah, I have no problem. The 6 is and if the 6 was 5-1. At that form, I'd be like, well, maybe I'll switch my pick to the 3 horse just for, because it's a better price. So yeah, I have no problem with the 12-1. I'm sure you're enjoying the 12-1 too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
but again,
I was
probably go off at 8-1, 7 or 8-1 in my opinion. It probably will take some money here because it's a short field.
If it does, though, what I've noticed at HorseShoe is it'll be right as they leave the gate.
Yeah, that's surprising. Is that CAW money?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Just a quiet Friday. They've got to find some place to put their cash in, right? Their plays. Got to get those rebates.
Got to earn the rebates.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. They all look pretty good on the track. I mean, I'm not the paddock pick type person, so I don't necessarily know in terms of what I'm seeing because of that, but I was told to look for the ears pricking and things like that, and the horse looking pretty happy. The 6 has got some big blinking cups on too.
6 looks a little lively out there for looks okay to me. I think the concern that I have when I'm watching a post race or a paddock, horses in a paddock, is a horse that's acting up, that hasn't acted up before, or is washed out, or unruly. It looks uncomfortable, But in all honesty, it's much easier to determine that when you're at the track, actually in the paddock, because you don't see everything on the cameras, right? So you see stuff behind the scenes that we're not aware of. But based on the 6 coming on the track, it doesn't look. This horse looks okay to me.
So I'm going to have to check, just from looking at the cloudy sky there, I feel like I need to check the weather.
Oh, probably a good idea.
Let's see. So it's saying, no, it's not bad. 15% chance of rain after 2 o'clock.
Okay.
So, if that's correct, then I think we're okay.
And again, when I mentioned I'm looking at horses in the paddock to see how they're looking, and just keep in mind, I don't have a degree in equine physiology. So take what I say with a grain of salt. Yeah. I'm no Maggie Wolfendale. But again, just because a horse looks good on a track doesn't mean they're going to run worth a lick, right?
Right, yeah.
But I think the value of the paddock analyst is that, like, you'll hear comments, well, last time out, this horse was all jumping. This horse looks a lot better today, a lot more muscled up. Looks like it shed a few pounds or put on weight, looks more muscular, looks better developed. Yeah, that's the valuable thing I want to know, right?
Right. No, absolutely. Or is it a cool day and they're all lathered up?
Yeah.
Too. That's another thing that I look for. And they're going to minute or two of the screen, they tend to post drag. So I'm guessing we're looking at like a another 4 minutes here before they
Oh, really?
go to
Okay.
post. Did you have an opportunity to watch the game last night?
Yes, I did. Yes, I actually, because there was a weather delay, stayed up till mid third quarter and I fell asleep. But I always tape the game, so I watched it this morning. And yeah, it came down to it was very entertaining at the end, right?
Yeah,
A toe on the line. And I give Harbaugh credit because he was all in to go for two and to
yeah,
win that game. And I think when you're going as the underdog and losing in a championship game the year before, that's the right approach. I love that. First game of the year. So even if you're going to probably lose anyway.
right.
But the one thing I'll say, Aldi, is that, man, did Lamar have two chances before then in the end zone he could
Yes.
just, if he was more accurate, they could have come out with a 28-27 win before that critical pass. But that was some catch, just the toe was on the line, right? So
Yeah, I mean, it was. I don't think you can fault the receiver. Just because of the way where the ball was placed. I don't think.
correct. No. And my first impression when you watched it live, I'm like, oh, he's definitely out of bounds. And to say that he even got to that point with that's real talent. But yeah, Kansas City is going to be tough again. I mean, you just can't make any mistakes against that team, right? They just seem to find ways to win.
Well, their offense seems to be much better, and you also have to factor in that their division's pretty weak with, the Raiders and Denver there and the Chargers first year with Harbaugh. But, the Chargers might be the second best team in that division.
Correct.
And, so they're going to be probably pretty rested and, have a decently easy schedule just because of their division.
Yeah. And the one thing that scares me about the Chiefs, I never like to see a team keep winning, but that now they have Xavier Worthy. They've got more speed. That other kid that they have, I don't recall his name. They seem to have upgraded the receiver position. They have more speed. And their defense, they've got Spagnuolo, who's one of the best defensive coaches in the league. And, what else do I have to say about Patrick Mahomes? I mean, this kid is just – and again, I'm not a Chiefs fan. I'm a New York Football Giants fan, so you can show some mercy on me. This year's not going to be I don't have many optimistic ideas for this team, but I am a huge football fan. But the Chiefs are looking good.
I have Malik Neighbors, your wide receiver, on my fantasy team.
Okay. Well, hopefully Danny Dimes can get him the ball enough. I'm hoping that that's the one bright spot on our team. Offensive line is a question mark. The secondary looks very shaky. Or the rest of our defense is okay. They're probably going to be a low scoring team. But you never know. We'll see. Yeah. But Malik Neighbors is at least gives you hope to watch a game. It's like, and they have the Giants have a first game matchup with a team that they could beat. I mean, the line's like 1.5 or even. Yeah,
I mean, Sam Darnold starting for the Vikings. I think that's a winnable game for you guys.
Oh yeah. But after last year's debacle, opening night, 40-0 against the Cowboys, you never know what's going on with this team. Yeah. So, but I would suspect that this team will be ready, and I think it'll still be a tight game. I just think anytime a team's got Justin Jefferson, he can just dominate a game if Sam can get him the ball.
If it's not one of those games where Sam Darnold's seeing ghost rushers. You gotta. He's the kind of guy. If you pressure him early, he'll start seeing those ghost rushers, and that's when you can take advantage. But so my Bears, we have Caleb Williams. They looked very impressive. They were the quote unquote preseason champions, but you can't put much weight into preseason play. I'm very high on Williams, but I also understand he's a rookie quarterback. I'm higher on him for next year than I am for this year.
Oh no. Yeah, there'll be an improved team with him, and but again, first year, and it's always difficult. I mean, you look at some of the great quarterbacks of the past. I mean, John Elway in his first year was terrible. Peyton Manning was not good. Troy Aikman again, but Troy Aikman had a really bad team when he first started. But these guys, you give them a year or two. But yeah, you're right. I think 3 years down the line, 2 years down the line, this team's going to be a real contender for that division
coming up, Rodney Prescott
and make the playoffs.
Loads to the mile, 1 to 2.
All right. Well, they're loading in at HorseShoe Indy for race 1, and we both are on the 6 here. So, and I just noticed we've got a 2-to-1 shot, 1 to 2, which I don't want any part of. We got a 2-to-1 shot, who's actually 2 for 39 lifetime and 1 for 28 at HorseShoe Indy. How about that?
Yep. And 2 is not wanting to load in the gate. There we go.
1 to 2 favorite. Work It Wendy has joined Amazingness for the mile. Skip and Justice, Oscar Villarreal claims a 7-pound apprentice allowance. Now a couple in the back. Silvio Bermudez here with Soul Run. One more, Rafaela. Fernando Letta Cruz with 53 meet wins. 2 back. This over the mile. Fast track. They're in the gate. Running at HorseShoe, Indianapolis. Work It Wendy broke smartly there for Rodney Prescott. Rafaela in the black cap with an early bid. Soul Run, amazing.
Come on, don't get caught super
really
wide for no reason. What are you doing?
7 furlongs to go, and it's Work It Wendy. Work It Wendy, the pilot for Rodney, in front of Rafaela, who's second on the outside for Fernando Letta Cruz.
Do I see Rafaela at 32-1?
Alberto Burgos at the 6.
You do, yes.
There's 1 to 9. 1 to 9. That's why.
We were wrong about where the computer money was going to go there.
Yes. Nothing on the 6. Everything on the 1.
The first favorite leads. Easy lead that for
5 went up to 5-1.
Wendy leads here by a half length to Rafaela, second on the outside. Another length to Soul Run running in third. Amazingness in the green cap.
This was the trip I was hoping we would get.
Yeah.
We'll see. Went past the half-mile pole in 48.92 seconds. Work It Wendy, the green leads the way. Rafaela remains right there. Work It Wendy and Rafaela 1-2 as they round the far turn with Soul Run looking to inch in. Amazingness is also right there handy. As these leaders come toward the quarter pole, the one detached is Skip and Justice. It's Work It Wendy, the longtime leader for Rodney Prescott, takes them through 3 quarters in 1 minute, 14.30 seconds.
Come on, 6. Hold on to second.
Have straightened away. It's Work It Wendy. Work It Wendy has put away Rafaela and leads by 5 in the final furlong.
Yeah, 1 to the one's going to finish second. Now they're going to have 12 seconds.
Being outpaced close to home with Rodney Prescott. Work It Wendy. Work It Wendy, the first favorite home with a length and a half to spare. All right.
Well, the good thing is, the bright side is that 1 to 9 over the second choice in the race is not going to be a very impressive first race bankroll for the people who had it. So this really doesn't cost us anything.
Not at all. And it would have been nice if the 6 could have held on for second.
Yeah, hey, look at it this way. He gave us a little entertainment. That's what we're looking for, right? He gave us some hope. Gave us some hope for a good second place finish.
All right. So I guess on to the next race in the main slate, race 9, at HorseShoe on the turf, 2-year-old open maiden special weight.
Race 9 at HorseShoe Indy. Okay, I just pulled it up, and I did look at race 9. So what we have is a 1-mile turf race, maiden turf race for 2-year-olds. And we've got some well-bred horses here, and this is for open company 2-year-olds. So we do have a mostly, if not exclusively, Kentucky-bred race, correct? So, and we got some well-bred horses here. So, Aldi, I'm going to let you start. I'd like to see your opinion here on these 2-year-olds. I'm still forming a game plan here. I have a couple horses in mind, but what were your thoughts here?
So I thought that of the first time starters, the 3 was the one I'm most interested in, Dream Scheme, for Brendan Walsh with Machado aboard. You know, that this horse seems to, by Quality Road, seems to be working well on the Tapeta. Didn't seem to really like the dirt at Churchill, but was working well on the Tapeta. You know, Walsh is pretty good on the turf as a trainer. And, you know, I looked here, the one hired gun for Brad Cox, you know, that this horse is just working okay. The 8 for Lobo has some pretty good works too. So that I was kind of, the 3 and the 8 was where I was kind of choosing between. And I wound up on the 3 from a GSR standpoint, as you're almost, you're 19 points better on the GSR on the 3 than you are on the 8. You know, the 8 is by Hardspun, which you mentioned, like a bunch of 3-star works on this horse. So to me, those were the 2 spots I was looking. I did not think that the 2 had to win here. I thought there were well-bred horses, and I didn't, even though I believe that this race came back pretty fast, I did not believe that this 2-horse really did more than pass some tired horses.
Right.
But, yeah. But I will say that there is a possibility, and you see if you look at my notes, the long shot, bad GSR, but does have a 20-point pace advantage here.
Yeah.
Could steal this on the front end.
Yeah, and that's the one thing, the real value that I find in EquinEdge when we're looking. The first thing I look when I handicap a race, I open up the website and look at the app and look at the pace factor. When I see disparity, I mentioned this to Scotty on our show a number of times. When I see a 20 to 25 point disparity in that range between the first and second pace factors, to me, that alone, that's an angle for a play, right? Lone speed. But again, this horse is a volatile. I mean, doesn't strike you as the greatest turf-bred horse in the world, right? So that concerns me. But this horse has a huge pace factor. But when I look at the 7. This horse has been showing speed at 5 furlongs, 4.5. So I think maybe the 7 is going to show more speed than the metric suggests. But I'm tempted to use the 5. But obviously, we've got some well-bred horses here. The one's a $350,000 maximum security. I'll let that horse beat me, Brad Cox. Even though I don't like to say that too often, I'll let Brad Cox's horse beat me because usually I get beat. But, against those other well-bred horses, drawing the rail, I'm going to give that horse a race. Also, Dream Scheme is definitely a contender first time out for Brendan Walsh, working steady, and could easily win this race. I'd like the morning line 10-1. Also, reach at the 8 horse for Polo Lobo. Hardspun out of Danzig is one of my favorite sires. So sometimes with that, I'll just go for, because that's one of my favorite horses. And Minaret Station had a race over the turf, but showed no speed and did close up a little bit for 3rd, but that might have been because of some tiring horses. So I'm going to toss the 2. And I guess the way I'm going to approach it is I'm going to go with the other well-bred first-time starter, and that's just because of my affinity and my bias for Hardspun. So I'm going to go with the 8 reach over the 3 Dream Scheme. So we're kind of on the same page. Just took a different horse for the first-time starters.
Yeah, and so you're 8-3 and I'm 3-8.
Right.
So
that's the same page. Yeah. Yeah,
no, and I it took me a while to figure out which one of those two I was going with. And I just landed on the better GSR as being the metric that put me over the top there. But
Right.
I want to, since we have time, so you mentioned when a metric sticks out. So you saw my ticket from last weekend, and people kept asking me, how did I arrive at idea generation? Why was idea generation on my ticket? And it was the same thing, that the metric stood out here to me. And I also knew that Eternal Hope got caught too close to the pace last time. And, on 8-1, and I thought they would take this horse back. So that took that horse out and gave me, in my opinion, a bigger pace advantage. And so I thought, okay, well, this horse could legitimately get away. And I talk about seeing the angle that you think a horse is going to win.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the angle I saw. What if this is the time this horse can hang on? Just because of the lack of other real pace here. So that was going back to your thoughts on that. That was just
And that's a great score. Congrats again. And again, we've seen that in the past, because this horse was, in my eyes, strictly entered as a rabbit for the other half of the Chad Brown entry, right? But we've seen rabbits before, going back in the past, win some of these races. And if I had 20/20 hindsight, geez, it's 20/20 hindsight, right? But when I saw the rain start, I've been at the track so many times with these races late in the day, and it starts pouring. The turf becomes slippery. It becomes wet. And when horses get a clearer lead, some horses behind them aren't handling the footing. It takes them a while to get going. And some jocks, to me, I've noticed, are a little more cautious when it's raining that hard. It's not great condition. So to me, I'm like, oh, I didn't realize it's pouring out, and this horse has got a clear lead. And I've seen it so many times with long shots on the front end, going a distance, marathon distance on that turf course where it's really wet. And then it's horse on the lead, just parades around the track. But really, really good pick. Yeah, because I didn't see that horse. I just thought that horse was obviously a rabbit, but I think the conditions helped it out too. So, and also you got, and when they took that last race off the turf, I just thought it was a crapshoot at that point, right? And you got an all on that ticket, correct?
Yeah. So I had 5 horses in the last, so I got it 5X.
Right. And that's great. And sometimes the weather just, sometimes these things fall into your lap and it benefits you. And you didn't know that when you're doing making the ticket, but you still had a really good, strong ticket there.
I actually did know that. So I was warning people maybe an hour before the pick 5 started that the race was going to come off the turf. And I posted the radar and the weather forecast.
Okay.
And I said, the Flower Bowl is going to stay on, but they're going to take that last race off. You could take advantage of this.
Right.
And, so I played it in a way in the last race that I was okay either way. I went with the horses I liked if it stayed on the turf, knowing I would have it. If I was alive, I'd have it 5X. If it didn't, I also singled the one horse for immersive here I still can't believe it went off at 12-1. I thought we were 9. I'd be lucky to get 9-2 here.
I agree.
Mm-hmm. So that was my single as well. So, the combination of those two prices is really what made that ticket work.
That was a sweet score. And unfortunately, I should have been tuning into the show, because I might have, not that I would have played the same exact ticket, but you may have convinced me to give Idea Generation more of a shot. But unfortunately, I was playing golf that day, and I watched the races later in the day. I think I got right back in here, right back home before the Flower Bowl. And in either case, I take the races, so I was watching them because I did have some kind of financial interest in it. But well, congrats again. Great score.
Thank you. So on to race 10 at at Horseshoe, another state-bred maiden special weight for 2-year-olds.
Is race 10 included?
Oh, I believe it's not. As I think about it, let me just make sure.
Oh, let me see. I didn't have that. It could be. I'm not sure.
I didn't.
Oh, yeah, it is 8, 9, 10. 8, 9, 10. My apologies. My apologies.
And somehow I lost my notes here as well. But, you know, you have Contreras, you have Dobbs here, not two well-known trainers. You have West on the 6, the long shot, and a lot of these 2-year-old races, granted, this is 2 turns, so it could be a little bit different, but a lot of these 2-year-old races are one on the lead or right off the lead. There's not a lot of passing in these 2-year-old races. I think I just from looking at it and looking at the works, I like the 5, the first time starter, who's 29% in your second choice, to upset the 3 to 5 morning line second time starter for Dobbs. So Dobbs is 19% with second time starters, and Contreras is 21% with first time starters.
Right, and this is another maiden special for 2-year-olds. This time at a mile, and it's only a 7-horse field, and then you have a morning line, a 3 to 5, which is Chicory Blaze, the number 4 horse. And based on that last race, just missing, this horse was steady to a certain extent, and then off a pretty slow pace, it looks like this horse just missed. It got up. So this horse is going to be really, really difficult to beat. And it's only a 7-horse field. I looked at a couple of first timers. The one horse that I was considering was the 2 Shepinator. This horse raced at 5 furlongs and didn't really lift a hoof. We got a bump start here. So, I mean, stretching out to a mile, this horse, let me look at the GSR on the 2 is 40. It's not great compared to the other horses here. But I didn't want to go with the first time starters. And the other horse I looked at was the 7, who was working out pretty well before that August 22nd race, but didn't really run either. I mean, if you look at compare the 2's race and the 7's race, it's basically similar. But I'm going to take a shot here that the 2's going to improve Shepinator. I don't really love taking a 3 to 5 shot. So I'm going to go with the 2 Shepinator, and my second pick obviously would be the prohibitive favorite, the 4, if I had 2 entries. So I'm going to take a shot with the 2 here, 2 over the 4.
All right, I'm going to go 5 over the 6.
5 over the 6. We'll throw on the 4 out. Okay, so right, so you're going with the first time starter off the,
and then the horse that we believe will be on the lead with the 6. So
right, and the 6 Sig 45 was in the same race as the 2 Shepinator. The 6 was 5.5 to 1 that day, and Shepinator was 23 to 1. So, each of both of the horses seemed to stumble at the start, so they got off to a bad break, either of them. So I think either one of them, and they're both Aaron West horses. So I mean, either one of them are contenders here, but we'll see how good the 4 is. This 4 could be long on here, but again, I can't take any part in 3 to 5.
Yeah, so the other thing is both the 6 and the 2 are West horses, as you mentioned, but you are getting on the 2 the Apprentice and the weight break there.
Correct. Good point. Mm-hmm.
So maybe this horse does run better. I do, and as well, you're getting the weight break on the Apprentice on the 7 that you mentioned before, and they are wheeling the. So no recorded work since the 22nd, and it's the 6, so they're basically about 14 days they're wheeling this horse back.
Right.
So that they must think that horse needed the race for fitness, and now is fit and ready to go. So you're right, the works are pretty big on this horse. The GSR is not bad. I missed this, and this might be a horse also that I'm going to have to weigh before I make a final decision whether I go with the 4, 6, or 7.
Okay,
And,
so we don't have a final answer yet. So 4, 6, or
Yeah.
7. One of them you're going to play. Okay.
right. And this was trailed. I'm just looking to see if they're. And this is as well owned by the horse that's owned by the trainer. For what that's worth, if you believe
Right.
in that. So we can run the race sim on this one too, but I believe it's going to show the 4 winning.
And if you run the race sim, I'll be back in less than a minute.
All right, sounds good.
Thanks.
And down the stretch they come. Can the 4 hold off the 5? And there you go. The race sim has the 4, the 3 to 5 shot winning. These 2-year-old maiden special weights, especially state bred, you can see some pretty wacky things happening. So I'm just thinking it's possible we see something wacky here as well. So let's take a look at the track at HorseShoe and see how these horses are doing. And then we'll come back and start looking at Delmar for the main slate here.
Okay, so we have 3 minutes to race number 2, I see. At
Yep.
HorseShoe Indy, and I am on the 6, and you were on the 6 also, correct?
Yes. That didn't work out for us last time.
No. Maybe that's a bad omen here. But 5 to 2, so always taking money is second choice in the race over the even money. Well, I was just going to say, is that even money or 1 to 1? Now 6 to 5, so I don't have to make a decision whether to say even money or 1 to 1.
So off that race, and that this goes to the point of why we were trying to find a price as a second choice or even in second place. The leader's at $4.20 here.
Right.
All right, so here we go. We're heading to the gate, probably like 3 or 4 minutes here. Our 6 could go off as the favorite here.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Looking for a price, and we end up getting either the second choice barely or the favorite.
Yeah. Unless some late money comes in somewhere else, we can hope, right?
Right. Yep.
Like the 5 goes off at 1 to 9, that would be nice.
The horses stepping onto the track now for the.
So we got a
second race.
total
The sprint card of,
of 148 entries into the feeder, top 29. And like you said, it's a reachable figure, $4.20.
Best and firm. And
Always nice to not be chasing that badly after the first race.
Absolutely. Just bear with me 1 second.
No problem.
Hey, Connor, how you doing, bud? You want to come on TV soon? No? You want to make a pick in the any NFL games?
Oh.
On TV? Well, maybe a little later. I'll call you in.
Okay.
How's school today?
Yes.
All right. I'll see you in a little while.
Okay.
All right. Hopefully, so we got 8 to 5 now. Yeah, they're going to be battling for favoritism there. It's
Yeah.
The 6 is now 3 to 2, which is the vote. Right?
Can they hear us if I boo the betting? That's
Well,
tough.
here's the problem. If you look at the win pools, you have 4,000 to win. It's not a lot in the pools. That's
Yeah.
why that horse went off at 1-9 in the first race. From a couple of $1,000 is going to make a big difference here. It's almost like the size of the pools at Finger Lakes. When I go, there's like, oops, I can't make a large bet because it's going to go down too much in price.
Yeah. Nothing like going from 20 to 1 to like 5 to 1 off like a $200 bet.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Sometimes you can get on like a Monday or Tuesday at Finger Lakes in a maiden race, a short field. Like, wow, there's hardly anything in the pool.
Well, I guess the DRF projected odds had the 6 at 2 to 1.
Right.
So I guess based off that, we should not be all that surprised.
No, and let's just see here too. So second race. I'm just looking at what the EE more. Oh, I'm having a glitch here.
You need me to look something up for you?
No, I got it. Just not okay. Yeah, the EE morning line was 6 to 1.
Yeah.
So yeah, almost. I didn't expect to get 9, but I still. I was just going to say I'm pretty confident that the 5 is going to be the favorite, and with that, we got to click down on the 6 again.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Let's see.
Well, look at it this way. Rachel picks the 6, so that's good enough for me. That gives me a little more confidence.
We're up to 22,000 in the win pool. 22.9. Really, I'm kind of surprised that the one's not taking more money. I guess just a bad morning line there, but is 3 of 6 at the distance.
Yeah, I guess the one's not winning anybody over at this point, right? Boom.
It's intended. Or not intended.
Intended. Which is best, you would think. Well, it took it a little. Yeah, I would think that. I'm still surprised that the 6 is taking more money than the 2. I thought the 2 would be the solid second choice.
Yeah.
And the 6 maybe. Yeah.
And I think the 3 should be like 40 to 1. This horse is 11, 1 for 11 at the distance.
Mm-hmm.
Here, 3%, and it's only 19 to 1. I mean, I don't think is going to win, but I think that is actually taking too much money on that horse right now.
Right.
For the Lauer family. Let's see, when did that horse last run a race in 2022? That's a 2 years since, and not a 2-year layoff. It's been running in 23 and 24.
Right, and no drop down. So
the horses
have reached the hey, morning line was 5 to 1 though. So yeah, 1 and the 3 are both totally dead on the board.
With Win Me Over. Now Butch is best. Rodney Prescott going for the opening double with Bob Dobbs Jr. for Milidar Selden. Revocable trust.
Good luck, everybody.
Butch is best joined Win Me Over. Semi Bermudez with Mowens drew 3.
I played a little bit of an entertainment wager on the 4 here.
Now
Lucky's Joy.
6 to 5.
Just a win place show.
This horse that may be on a clear lead.
One more.
Yeah.
First run of 2024 for Latigo with Evan Roman.
Worth a shot at that price for an
Sure, at that price, everything's about value. Actually, the 3 to me is what it's got at 19 to 1.
They're off. Lucky's Joy peels away. Let it go, and toward the inside. Here's the gray Butch's Best with a bid. Butch's
That
Best.
drives me
Pressing through
insane
inside
that
of
he
Lucky
didn't
Joy.
have the
Butch's
opportunity
Best
and didn't
has
shut
taken
down the
lead from
rail
Robbie
there.
Prescott.
You could have went right to the rail with the
Sharp
lead.
start. Lucky's Joy chases the pace with Evan Roman. Latigo making his 5-year-old seasonal bow.
We
Tracking
did
back
end
from
up with
third.
3 to
Molly's
1.
Town in the red cap running in fourth.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Week 2 on the outside, Mowens and Win Me Over
Better
Trail.
than 2 to 5.
Red Sextet with 28 wins between them and just over 3 furlongs left. The quarter was 22.13 seconds. Lucky's Joy has taken a short lead here for Alberto Burgos as Latigo strides up on the outside. And right there with Latigo, here comes Molly's Town as they look to close down Lucky's Joy after showing speed.
I got the rail trip.
Back. Then on the
Yeah.
outside, Mowens and finally Win Me Over.
That is 2-horse race.
It's Latigo going for the final
got it.
furlong. Half mile,
Yeah.
45.79 seconds.
I'll take 3 to
In
1
this
there.
comeback run
That
for
helps.
Latigo. He's kicked away from Molly's Town.
That works.
3 past the 16th.
Boom.
And Latigo
Right.
comes back.
Good one.
Besting.
I'm gonna. With that being said, I'm gonna celebrate and go grab my slice of pizza out of the microwave.
All right, go enjoy your slice of pizza. All right, that'll help for sure move us up, especially with 2 to 5 finishing in second. I think the 2 ended up getting up for, or the 3 ended up getting up for third at 30 to 1. All right, so we got Delmar coming.
After the state bred sprint feature.
We got Delmar coming up for the main slate here. We switched to what was supposed to be my Delmar screen here. And put it on the right date would help too. Hopefully some people in the chat had that. I'm guessing Mike Salata, did you have that? All right, so we have Delmar race 1 coming up, big field, full field, 12 is in as well. So we have a full field of 12 on the Delmar turf. Boom for you, Mike. Excellent. So let's see. In a couple minutes, we'll take a look at the leaderboard.
Hey, I'm back. Sorry about that.
No problem.
Okay.
Not a problem. So sounds like Mike Saletta had that as well in the contest.
All right. Way to go, Mike. We'll see an updated leaderboard. Looks like a lot of people who are on the leaderboard with that $4.20 had the 6 also. But there's a lot.
I would expect that.
All right. Refresh.
That does not look like it's gone official yet. I'm trying to tell if I can see here. Hold on.
Oh, yeah. So the leader now has 15, the leaders.
Okay.
So 1 official.
So we're $4.20 behind that, I would guess.
Mm-hmm. $10.80. And that is the,
And
let's see. Oh, there's $13, $15, $13, and then $10.80. Oh, yeah. It's going to be a competitive feeder with 4 more races to go.
And Dan H tossed the 5 off his ticket all together based on what we were talking about, and played just 2-6 in the pick 5 at Indy there.
Okay, that works.
Yeah,
that works.
Very nice boom there, Dan. All right, so Delmar race 1. I'll try to talk a little while you eat here about this race. A mile state bred on the turf, full field of 12 here. I'm sorry, full field of 11. And, this race, the 11's your top pick on the Equinox for Craig Lewis. Has JJ aboard. This horse just missed last time out. Has no speed though. So, and that was at 5 furlongs. on the stretch out, I expect to show a little bit more speed. So there's that. I also thought the 11, the 5, the long shot, who is your top GSR for Mathis, had a look here. Big GSR bump from the dirt moving to, it looks like the surface this horse wants. Voronski's in state bred races on turf do very well. So that was one of my angles here. I love Voronski's, whether it's the Chosen Veron, and there's a few other good Voronski's still left out there. So here's a 3-year-old and the long shot 7-1 currently on that horse. And then the other one I saw here was Miss Will, the 1 horse, who's 9% for Mark Glatt. And this horse has had a few opportunities, is moving back up, was in an open claim 62.5 claimer, and is moving back to a state bred maiden special weight here, which may rank similar. And, that this horse does have some back good works. It gets Frazier aboard as well, who's an excellent turf rider. And you see, so that those works were coming as it was kind of coming off a layoff, even though it doesn't have the layoff line there. And this horse may be fit, and it ran much better last time out. So I thought this 1 horse at 9% was also a player. I ended up, David, on the 5, the long shot here, with my second choice being the 1.
Okay, Oldie next. We're on the same page with the Vronsky first-time turfer for Andy Mathis. Vronsky has won 3 races over the turf, and the dam is an unraced mare, but based on first-time turf, this horse easily can stretch out to a mile. Again, I'm not concerned with what this horse did in the dirt races, but it looks like this is a really good spot for this horse. And the other horse that I'd be definitely interested in is the 10 on the Equinox. Based on that last race, bump start at 5 furlongs and closed and almost got the win at 16-1. So from the outside post and get a good stalking trip. So to me, I only had interest in 2 horses, and I'll go with the one that's trying to trip the first time as my main pick, the number 5 Monet, over the 10 on the Equinox. The one thing I didn't really care for the 1 is this horse was racing at Golden Gate 22.5 claimer, and then raced in a 1580 claimer. So the horse, anytime one of these 3-year-olds maidens are entered in claiming races, I'd rather go with the horses that strictly were in maiden races off a couple of just limited starts. So it's 5-10 in the first at Del Mar for me.
All right, 5-10 at Del Mar. I should make mention of the 11, the top choice as well, but this horse seems to have burned a lot, had many opportunities. It's 0-for-7 with a second and a third, and mostly been running at 8 furlongs at this level. So, in fact, all but the first race have been in that manner. I don't see what changes today.
Right, but I will say it was an improved race last time, but I'm thinking based on the horses that were in the race, maybe it was just not a stronger, a very strong field, very weak field. So, a horse contender, but I'm going to pass. I'm going to fade that horse.
And I'll also say that horse also may have wanted the slightly longer distance too.
Right.
Might have been a factor there as well, and there might have been less speed in that race. So, that's where I kind of ended up here. And, I had the 11 marked down here, but I really ended up on the 5-1. So let's see, the next race, I know it jumps a couple races here, so let me make sure I get this right here. In the main slate, I believe, of course, I'm out talking my ability to actually get there. It is Delmar races 1 and 2, and then we go to 4 through 8.
Right. So we do get the second. Yeah, we just skip through over the third, right?
Yeah. So we have the I'm smoking stakes.
I'm smoking. And
Smoking.
yeah, I heard the rumor that 2 was going to be well, not a rumor. I heard yesterday or the day before that the 2 was going to be a scratch. So that changes things a little bit. And got a few contenders, but I'll let you go first, Oldie.
All right. So I did have the 2 here. I was not aware of that when I handicapped that this morning. You know, I was the 1 and the 3 is what I have marked down here. I thought this, and I talked about this a little bit on the weekend preview show as well. This is the kind of race that Doug O'Neill finds a way to win. And, you know, I realize that this horse didn't run all that well in its previous 2 stakes races for O'Neill here. But I just, you know, I'm looking at the works. I just kind of have a hunch that this horse is going to fire a pretty good shot here in Timothy, the 3 horse. And then I thought the 1 for D'Amato looked pretty legit here with the 2 out. And, you know, for me, the other horses, the other horse you could look at that, you know, wasn't on my list just because of that scratch would have been the 6 Bodacious, the second choice.
Right. Yeah, after the scratch of the 2, I narrowed it down to basically 2 horses that I was interested in. And, you know, the 1, Shea Brennan, is the EE top pick. This horse broke its maiden first time out and is eligible to win right back in this stakes. There's not a lot here. He's a 2-year-old. I mean, if this horse improves even off that last race, it'd be very tough here. But I also looked at the 3. I'm a big Doug O'Neill guy. He scored a lot of long shots on the West Coast with him over the years. And notice that he comes out of the same stakes that the 6 does. So the graduation on August 9th run at 5.5. And it seemed that both horses had trouble at the beginning. Okay, there's trouble lines on both of them, bump start for both. And keep in mind that the 3 was went off at 26-1. And the 6, who had a little more, actually, it was the 3rd start for each of them.
Right.
And the 6 was bet down to 3-1 or so. And also the 6 had beaten our Heisman. So I think that the 6 is going to, as long as the 6 gets a better start, we have blinkers off. This horse has speed and didn't have the lead the last time because of the slow start and just kind of compromised itself.
Yeah.
So I think, based on the pace, I think the 6 is, even with the blinkers off, outside post is going to gun for the lead and lead these wire to wire. So for this race, I'm on the 6-1. Audacious over Shea Brennan.
All right, I'm 3-1. You know, I keep thinking about this Peter Miller horse, but again, it's another horse that needs the lead in the 5. I think the 4 is a toss altogether. But all right, so Delmar race 2. I guess we're on to Delmar race 4, which
Delmar
is
race 4.
Bigger field, low 16K non-winners of 2 lifetime claimers here. Open claiming, though, it looks like. And, you know, this was another one where I like the win percentage over the picks here. And I was on top with the 7, Synaptic, who is 0-for-7 at the distance. But I just thought a lot of these horses were not in great form. And this horse might just sit right off and be able to go by. Here, a horse like the 10, who should be on the lead, or the 10 or the 1's going to be should be on the lead. So the 7 at a 10-1 morning line, 5-1 on the E morning line. And then I was on the 3, Midnight Mojo, for Hollendorfer. But again, this horse really, the form's not great. It really, in coming in from Emerald, hasn't really run well since leaving Emerald. And then the 4, Dark Marcus, was my 3rd choice. And same story, but dropping a little bit. I'm just not sure where this horse's level is. And that might be the angle on the 4 here, is the drop.
Yeah. There's some interesting drop downs here, and the way I approach these non-winners of 2 lifetime races is the first thing I always do is I look at their overall records, and then I see, for instance, the 3, 1-for-20, the 4, 1-for-24. The 7, 1-for-16. Usually I don't want any part of those horses unless they're really dropping down so significantly that I'll give them a shot. But that just indicates to me, unless it's a drastic drop down, that these horses just don't have the winning profile. And out of the drop downs, I guess I considered the 4, Dark Marcus, because that's such a big drop. Coming out of some good actually the last race at Del Mar, that's a 50,000 allowance. This horse just it's probably overmatched at 8-1. When I go back, this horse was entered in a $20,000 claimer at Santa Anita, going a mile in the 16th. So I mean, maybe this horse, when it was raised back up to 50, and also an optional claimer 2 back, maybe that's the spot. So it drop down's a little deceiving off that 1 drop down race. So I was reaching here. It's like, I don't know. I didn't know where to go. I don't really like the 6. No part of the 7. I did look at Lone Scout, Bob Hess's horse. I'll let that horse beat me with no speed and off that layoff. So ultimately, I settled on, and again, the 3 horses, 1-for-20. This horse was dropped in for 12.5, good race, now 16. So that shows a little confidence in the horse. But really, how much confidence can you have in a horse that's 1-for-20? So ultimately, I settled on the 1 here, King and Country. The most lightly, one of the more lightly raced horses in the race, only 4 starts. This is a legitimate drop down. This horse has been racing an optional 40,000 claimer at Del Mar, then went to the turf, 5 furlongs at Del Mar. That's not a bad race. I do have a question whether this horse really wants to go a mile, but has the inside post, can save some ground, and against these mostly losing profile horses, I think this horse has a shot. So I'm willing to take the 8-1 morning and go with the 1. I guess my second pick, if I had 2 tickets, would be I'd take a shot with the 5 Smoke 'em easy. So how about 1 King and Country over 5? Smoke 'em easy for me.
All right, 1 over 5 for you, and 7 over 3 for me. All right, how much time to Indy here?
We got HorseShoe Indy coming up soon.
In the top 3, certainly paying.
Got about 9 minutes there.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we got plenty of time.
So it looks like we can do 1 more race here. All right, we're on race 5. And this is 9 furlongs on the turf. 32K non-winner of 2 lifetime. Did you want to start this one out?
Yeah, I'll start this one up. Sure. Okay, so we have this is a 1.125 mile turf race. So we're going the 2 turns. Let me just, the first thing I looked at, Aldi, is I want to see, especially going 2 turns, I want to see if there's a significant pace edge. And it doesn't, I mean, it looks like we have 2 or 3 horses with speed. Beautiful Janet seems like the horse will be on the lead. This horse is racing the last 3 races, considerably lower company, claimed and moving up from a trainer who's 0 for 23. The jock is 3 for 56% at this meet. Not a horse that I'm interested in. Kelly's Out is the 3 horse. This is a drop down. This horse has decent form here. Picks up Mike Smith for Jeff Mullins. Obvious contender. And I thought the 4 Sweet Laker was a big contender here, second off the layoff, off that last mile race. But the question is, does this horse really want to go a mile and an 8? So I probably give the 3 the edge over the 4. But I keep moving on, looking for if there's any other horses I may be interested in. And the 5 English Danger has won at the distance.
Yep. And
the last race was in against Sweet Laker and finished 4th. It's not a bad race. So this horse is a contender also. True Patriot, I thought, was a contender off the claim. It comes out of that same race, Super Enticing one, and that True Patriot was the favorite. So that's a horse you got to look at. But ultimately, I settled I landed here on the 7 Leopardess. And the reason is, this is another Bob Hess horse. This horse, even although this horse is 1 for 12, this is the 2nd race off a layoff, and I'm a sucker for 2nd or 3rd races off layoffs, because you can, a number of times horses show improvement. Again, comes out of that Super Enticing race, but that was off a layoff. I understand the 6 also comes off a layoff, but for Bob Hess, so both of his horses are coming off layoffs. One's 1 for 13, one's 1 for 12. But there's no world beaters here that I can find. So with the 2 Hess horses I like, figuring at least one of them will improve off the layoff, I'm taking a guess it'll be the 7. So Aldi, I settled on the 7 Leopardess over the 6 True Patriot, the 2 Bob Hess horses.
All right. So I ended up on the favorite, the 3 for Malts with Mike Smith here. And I just thought that this horse at 9 furlongs, I think wants the distance, has won at the distance, that ran in a maiden special weight. Then they moved it up probably too far, and now is back at a more of a reasonable level. And this horse had been close a few times as well, but I think the 9 furlong distance seems optimal for this horse. And I'm hoping it drifts up to 2-1 in this big field, or 3-1, but I'm not hugely optimistic. And then you mentioned my second choice, the 5 English Danger. And, this horse has a win at 9 furlongs as well, and hasn't been running poorly going shorter, but I think wants to get back to that 9 furlong distance. Was placed in a grade 3, didn't run all that well, but just was the case where that was too good of a group for this horse. And, this is more where this horse wants to be. I am a little concerned that the horse was rank and had some trip trouble last time, which might explain why it didn't run as well as maybe a mile's too short. So I was 3-5 there, and I would consider going 5-3 depending on how my final structure to my play there. I don't want to take more than 1 or 2 chalks within that sequence.
Correct. And in your benefit, Aldi, good point that you're taking 2 horses, which is very logical, that have won at the distance. So there's no distance questions with them, right? Both Kelly's Out and also the 5 horse, even at the price, had won at the distance. So, but And again, the horse, my horses that I picked haven't have any experience at the distance, so that's a risk. But it's at 8-1, it's a risk that I'm willing to take on the 7. So, but you pick 2 logical horses. That makes sense to me.
All right, looks like the horses are out on the track at HorseShoe, so let's go to HorseShoe race 3. I'm on the 7 here, and
I'm on the 5.
All right, 7 and the 5.
And the 6 is the 9-5 favorite.
Yep. This is the first race on the turf today. And all right, so you're 5% has some nice works. So let's see if maybe your 5 can get on the lead and get away here.
Yeah, that might be the plan here for these connections, but also the 6. I mean, the 7 can press too. I think all 3 horses have a decent amount of speed. And you look at the 1, got off to a slow start, but I mean, this horse could be. Yeah, you could have a contentious pace here. That's the one worry I have. Yeah. That's why I figured the 8 at 12-1 morning. Maybe a horse I'm interested in. Just taking a small entertainment play on at this point.
I might have been on the 3, but not at 8-1. I would want, if it was at 15-1 and not taking money, I probably would have an entertainment play there.
Right. Well, the 8 is currently 27-1. That's even this horse rallies up for 2nd or 3rd. Could so yeah, that would be my long shot here. And actually, the interesting thing is, if you're looking for strategy for the NHC, and this, obviously this show is the road to NHC. If I'm sitting at the table at in the ballroom at Vegas for this race, this is an optional. At that price, I may be willing, if I especially had 2 tickets, that I think I'd play the 8 on one of my tickets along with the 5. So it's usually, it's dictated a lot of times by prices, where you say, a horse may have a better chance than what his odds are. So it's about value. So, so we'll see how the 8 runs here. But I think I'm going to take a little side shot on this 8 horse to hit the board.
Mike Lewis says that the 2 horse, Crowned with Grace here. I did run, has 2 efforts over the turf here. Gets firm turf for the first time. Probably shouldn't be 13-1, but it hasn't really run in any of those races. But so you mentioned NHC strategy. So
right.
If this was a mandatory,
Less than 1 minute, 2 post time.
You'd be on which horse? The 5?
Mandatory, I'd be on the 5. Right. If this is a mandatory, I'd be on a 5. But however, if I had 2 tickets, even if it was a mandatory, I'd use 5 on one and 7 on the 8 on the other, because I just think that the 8, to me, that's like a tournament horse, an NHC horse. And a lot of times you have to put your normal handicapping thinking or your normal play thinking on hold, on the back burner at the NHC, because it's basically looking. I know we're always looking for value, but in a lot of these cases, there's so many races that are available on the wagering menu that sometimes you just have a feel for a horse, and you're like, this horse hasn't lifted a hoof, but it's a 2nd race. It's a maiden, and this seems to be a contentious pace here. Yeah, I'll take a shot at 23-1. The hell, it's $2 one place, and even if this horse happened to run a surprising race, get you a 2nd. It's going to get a pretty decent place price.
Absolutely. All right, they're circling around let's see, I see the 7. I'm looking to see your 8 there. they seem more than a minute or more than 0 minutes to post here, just by the fact they're not yet to the turf even.
Mhm. They linger a little bit like Gulfstream, huh?
Yeah, I mean, we found that out when we've done a couple shows here where we're sitting at 0 to post, and it would be like 3 to 5 minutes beyond that.
Oh, but based on how far they're away from a gate, I might be able to run and grab another slice of pizza, but I think one slice is good enough for me.
All right, you're welcome to, but
Yeah.
we haven't even
horses are
heard.
approaching.
There we go,
Starting
John
gate.
Dooley.
All right, there we go.
They tried to make a liar out of me right after I was about to say we
Right.
hadn't even heard John Dooley yet. All right.
Hello, Dan. Thanks for your insight. It's actually
Yeah.
2 worth a look at Delmar. Okay.
Five. And the turf course there does look in pretty decent condition, considering
It does.
they're
Mhm.
pretty deep into this meet.
The horses have reached the starting gate. It is now post time.
Every time I hear his voice, I just automatically think fairgrounds. Like, oh, fairgrounds is going off.
Alex Ashard, bred to run.
For me, I think Arlington, because he was the race caller for years at
Bred to
Arlington.
run is joined on
Oh,
course.
that's right. Same thing when Tony Callow is for years. He's at Finger Lakes, and when I got to Finger Lakes, because it's only a half hour from where I live. It's you hear that same voice. Oh, for years he was a track announcer. So when I hear him, when I have the TV on and I hear him, I'm like, Finger Lakes going, and then I have to remember he's no longer at Finger Lakes.
Concepcion with our shenanigan going in. Sophie Doyle partners Tony Marie through 3. Here, Ole run. Tony Marie has been installed. Juan Machado with Swan House. Joseph Romero, Mo Breezy. At 7.5 furlongs, so stand by. One more. Orlando Mexico with Shellacking. Horse firm, relative 24 feet this race week.
Dan, he probably takes the chopper
They're in the gate.
back to Kentucky down.
Yeah.
They're off. On cork, it broke sharp. There's Tony Marie. An early bid by Our Shenanigan. And Shellacking is right there, too, as they vie early. It's Mo Breezy moving through with the white cap. And
You got a contentious pace.
out to the
I
stretch.
thought.
Yep.
Uncork it just off their heels as they round the first turn. Then toward the inside is Tony Marie through into 4th. Shellacking is 5th in the black silks. Then
You
Bred to
expect
Run with
4 to
Swan
be on
House
the
and
lead with the 1.
Crowned with Grace as they go to the back of the course. These 2 out in front. It's Uncork It and Mo Breezy. They gallop together toward the half-mile pole, a neck apart with Our Shenanigan. Well spotted by Axel Concepcion, tracking them from 3rd. Shellacking is out deep on the course with Tony Marie in the red cap, saving ground with the rail at 24 feet and Bred to Run in tight quarters between horses. Then Crowned with Grace, and on the outside of her Swan House, they're joined last in the mid and juvenile fillies.
I have a feeling my 7's going to be super wide around this turn.
Past the half mile and 47.05
If the
with the rail for Joseph
horse
Dunn.
has anything.
My 5's going to be in traffic here based on that trip.
From Our Shenanigan, who's starting her bid as they come toward the top of the stretch, and Shellacking is raced wide, but is right there. And here's Swan House, who's coming 4 wide for Juan Machado. Swan House is circling them as they straighten away. Swan House with a swoop. Shellacking between horses. Our Shenanigan. Uncork It, led, but has dropped back. Bred to Run, angled out from behind horses. Tony Marie, Crowned with Grace. We trail back to
Come on,
Mo
5,
Breezy,
get
who's
up for
last.
2nd.
They're well inside the final 16th, and it's Swan House, the daughter hard spun. Swan House gets the
There you
result
go.
by 4.
All right, we got a 7.5.
Our Shenanigan.
Yep.
Oldie's horse on top of mine. 7.5. All right. When I was 5.6, or was I 5.7? Either way, get us place, and Oldie gets the win. Parimutuel. All right, good job.
Yeah. All right, Mike.
65
So it's
over
out for
3
a
to 1.
little more. 3 to 1, not bad. Should move you up a little bit too there, David.
Yeah, a couple of points. Right. Yep. Got to hit a couple other of the races and might be okay. First, top 29 get in. That'll move you up until that top 29 easily.
131.18 after the maiden 2-year-old fillies turf. 131.18 seconds. 7.568 the unofficial 7. Swan House. That's 6 to 5.
No, we said, I think we both agreed that it was a 5-6-7.
Second, 6 Hour Shenanigan.
Right.
5 to 2 third and 8 Shellacking at 51 to 1 odds gets into the frame. 7
Those
5
pretty logical results.
on the second time starter for Brendan Walsh.
And my 8, the horse I said that I'd take a shot with at 23 to 1 ended up going off at 51 to 1, right?
Yeah.
Didn't hit the board, but gave you a little interest.
That should be a good super, though.
Yeah, hey, I said I'd like those 3 horses and I'd give a shot with the 8. There's no excuse for me not to have the super. But did I have it? No.
Neither of us even thought of that. So,
No.
all right. So let's
All
go
right.
to back to Delmar here, and then we'll see when the leaderboard updates here where we are.
Yeah.
We got 3 races, 6, 7, and 8 at Delmar here.
All right, so the race 5 at Delmar, I'm on this. Okay, so 7, 6, and you're on the 3, 5. Okay, so race 6 at Delmar. Let me just pull that up on EquinEdge. And so 3 more races, and we're in good shape. Now, do we have any late scratches here? Yes, we've got the 4. Oh, the 4 was out already, right?
Yeah. 4, 9, and 11.
9 and the 11, right? The 9 was the only one. Okay, that was it was scratched early.
Yeah, and I just don't know from the standpoint. So that 12 horse is your top win percentage in the long shot, but I'm not sure you can, so that's 12 30. So it's the 9 post. You might be able to get away with using that, but that horse still could be caught pretty wide.
Which horse is that?
That 12 horse Tommy Gun.
Top Tommy Gun. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you look at the pace scenario, we've got Crypto Craze projected to have a lead with the 10 sitting right off. But so we've got a 5.5 furlong on the dirt race here. And from what I've seen, in the Delmar races at this distance, I think you want to be close to the lead, right?
Yes.
And, I was originally going to play a horse here, use a horse in a contest. I'll talk about the 6 first, Ultimate Doug O'Neill's horse. I mean, this horse is a logical horse here. And it's the top EquinEdge pick. This horse is 10 for 39 lifetime, a hard-hitting veteran, was racing at Oaklawn and then shipped to Santa Anita, to the West Coast, a couple of races at Santa Anita, and then won its last race off a voided claim, which always concerns me. But we don't know the reason for the voided claim. Could be a number of issues. And after that race, this horse is working out well. If you look at the workout on August 10th, I mean, it drilled 4 furlongs and 46 and 4. So it shows you the horse is still on its game. This horse can stalk, right? Has won 2 or 3 races at the distance, 1 for 1 over the track. But then I go down to Man Overboard, and this horse is 3 for 9, more lightly raced, and has won at the distance and 1 over the course, just at 5.5 furlongs, just on August 11th. and also beat I'm a Lucky Man that day and was off a beat slow. So this horse will probably be a little closer to the lead. But I'm thinking that this horse just benefited from just a crazy pace, a contested pace. Because if I look at the first quarter of that race, is running 21 flat, half and 44 and 1. So I'm going to take a chance that this horse just benefited from that contentious price. And I'm going to a horse here that normally I wouldn't play. But I'm impressed with the work on August 31st. And that's the 3, I'm a Lucky Man. This horse does drop back down to its lowest level I can see. This horse was racing for 16, 9 was a 2 lifetime back at Santa Anita in November, had the lead and kind of packed it in late. Also it was moved to turf, so it's going back and forth between turf, synthetic, and dirt. Actually never won on the dirt, which is a concern, but off its last race, to me, that's off the layoff. Maybe this horse will improve a little bit. This horse had the outside post, the extreme outside post, the 10 post, now moves to a better post. I always like the inside a little better than the 10, and at the track, the 3 post is much more valuable to me, in my opinion. And yeah, I think off the drop from 20 back down to 12 again, this horse is a live horse. So I'm going to be using the 3. I'm a Lucky Man. So it's going to be the 3 over the 6 ultimate. 3-6 for me. What were your thoughts?
So I'm slightly different than you here. So I'm the 6. I like the 6 as well. Same reasons you gave. This is a drop too, and the horse is working well. As well as the 10 was the horse I was interested in. That this horse showed 2 back that it could rate a little bit, and comes in here off a win in that 10K claimer that came back pretty good in terms of SOR for Hess here. So this is second race with Hess, 14%. That this horse is fast but can rate a little bit. So I'm not that concerned about the wider post there because of that. And again, that this horse, hopefully you get the 4-1. My only concern here is just that that putting Cedillo aboard, that they're only 8%. So maybe this horse isn't as live as I think. But I thought this was a pretty wide open race outside of the 6. I also think that the 12 after the scratches is not impossible either. But, needs some better luck here. But I'd be 6 over the 10 here.
6 over the 10. I'll lock you in. 6-10. The 6th race at Del Mar. All right, I'm just looking at the leaderboard right now. In the feeder, we have a leader at $22.20. We have looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, about 8, 9 people tied at that. Alexa Zepp is on the leaderboard. Chris Couples, just familiar names. And let's see, Judy Wagner, 13th at $18. Michael Oldham, tied with Judy Wagner, so you're tied for 13th with him. So you're in the qualifying spot, and I am 45th. So a couple of top 29 get in, so we're both in contention. You have in a better spot than me at this point. We do have 3 more races to go.
Yeah, so
and I have a couple of long spots, so could easily move up. So go ahead. I'm sorry, Aldi.
Yeah, no, I agree. Same thing. I mean, I probably need one more win to in here or a second on a long shot.
Right.
But it would be nice to find a separator too. Yeah.
Yeah. Or even maybe 2 place price horses. You're in good shape. You're in pretty good shape. But we know how these things can change. Right, exactly. The board blows up. It just jumps. Yep. Flips.
Yeah, and going into race 4, so I have the 6 here, and you have the
Three.
3, I believe it is. So
Yes.
3's 5-1 currently on the board, and the 6 is 7-1.
Okay. Yeah. With probably less than 5,000 in the pool right now, right? So we'll see how that goes.
$1,900. So
Oh, okay, way less than 5K.
yes,
Way less than 5K.
yeah. The 5 has 650 of that. That's all right. So let's go back to Delmar.
Race 7.
Race 7. Your favorite 5 furlongs on the turf.
A 5 furlong dash on the turf. Yes.
No Clement horses though, so there's
No
that.
Clement. We're West Coast. Even though I can say West Coast, he has been shipping out a few of the Clement horses.
Yep.
I don't want to give anything. I've got a couple of ideas on Clement horses coming up, but I'm not going down that path right now. But yeah, so again, especially these turf sprints, which and I think I've been pretty transparent that these are races normally. If I look at my ROI over the years on races I'm really successful with, I know what they are by now. And this is probably at the bottom of the list, the 5.5, 5 furlong turf sprints. Not to say I haven't had a nice score here or there,
No.
but I usually tread lightly because, I mean, when I have a much higher ROI at Aqueduct or Saratoga 9 furlong races, it makes sense to concentrate on those races, right? Or 7 furlong, 6 furlong on dirt. So that's what I do. But still, I mean, these are contest races, and I didn't do well at the NHCs. By avoiding races. I embraced it and looked for horses I thought could be live at a price.
Yeah.
So the first thing I look at in these races, again, is there a pace edge here that's significant? So do we have a disparity of around 20 points here? And we really don't. The 4 Code Duello, third off a layoff. And for a hot barn, has 1 over the distance, and this horse is projected to have the lead. But Charge for Gold got off slow last time out. Now draws the rail, so I think these 2 horses are going to be winning against each other. And Agency, the 10 horse, should be right off there, and Agency puts blinkers on. So I mean, you got a really contested. You could have a real contested pace here. So originally, I was going to stick with the 10 here, Agency. But then this morning, I started looking around. I'm like, okay, do I have a horse here that I would think maybe live? I looked at Beer Can Man, 3-1. I mean, this horse is the closer of the race, but hasn't won since last year. I mean, it's coming off a layoff, second race off a layoff, could improve here. And it seems like any horse named Beer something or Beer Can, I always get beat by. This is D'Amato for Little River. This horse is probably really live. Got a big workout on August 22nd. But I kept looking. Has a horse here had success at this distance, 5 furlongs. So I mean, the 5 is a contender also. So I just thought this was such a wide open race. Yeah, and if that's the case, I'm looking for. I'm going to take a price here. So even though this horse hasn't won at this distance, at the 5 furlong distance, I had interest in Peter Miller's horse, the 7 Zoffarelli. Now Zoffarelli is 1 for 9 over the Delmar course, 0 for 5 at the distance. However, it does have a few decent, has a nice race, 2 back at San Anita, 6. Is 5 a little short? Possibly, but if you go back to Delmar last fall, November 23rd, this horse, even though it finished 5th, was only a length and a half off the winner. So I think with a contested pace, and this horse puts blinkers on, and and Hector Barrios is having a real successful meet here. So I think I'm interested in that price. So I'm going to go with the 7 Zoffarelli. and I guess the other horse I'd use is the 10. So, and the second horse, my secondary horse, is a tough decision between the 2 and the 10. But that being said, I'm going to go with the 7 Zoffarelli for Peter Miller over the 10 Agency in the 7th race at Delaware.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts, Aldi?
I agree with you on looking for a price here, but I like the 4, the long shot code Duello. You know, is top pace but doesn't need the lead, and that's what for me was the difference. You see this horse won on December 31st on New Year's Eve of 2022, breaking 9th and coming on and winning at 6 furlongs at Santa Anita, but also has a win on the lead on, his one on 3 on synthetic dirt and all 3 surfaces and turf here. So for Craig Delahousse, or I believe that's how you pronounce his name.
I think it's Scotty corrected me last time. Delahousse,
not Delahousse is the jockey.
Good job.
But Craig Code Duella, I thought, is the perfect type of tactical horse. Could win this race and has races good enough to win here against, had that win against 64's 2 back here at Del Mar. And you're getting 15 to 1 on the morning line, 6 to 1 on the morning line. And, because of the versatility there, if the 1 and the 10, and I think possibly your 7 might need the lead too. If they all go, I think that the 4 is the one that can sit and negotiate a trip there, where I think Bear Can Man might need a little more of a meltdown. But I was really just the 4 and the 2 so I was the 4 over the 2. The other reason I decided to go with the 4. So I've taken chalk 2 races in a row.
Right.
So now I need a price.
Right. Absolutely, good point. And that's similar to my strategy. You don't want to go too chalky. You don't want to go too with too many cap horses or long shots, especially these Friday ones with only 10 races, right? So, you want to get a little bit of a shot with a price, and you get that horse home, the price horses, and you're in good shape. So, okay, so it's 4-2 for Aldi. I locked you in, and it's 7-10 for me. And I should point out that both of our picks, Aldi's pick is the EE long shot, and mine, Zoffarello, is the I think top choice. So we're on 2 of those horses. So
I'm just looking here. Okay, so I just noticed that 8 is 7 to 2 on the E morning line, but with a terrible GSR. And then I just took a look. I just wanted to make sure it wasn't a European horse that I was missing, that we might not have the sire data on. So,
the 8, yeah. First time turf.
Yeah, I just from looking at it for Haas, it doesn't look like it would be a turf horse either.
No, I think they're looking for answers. But this horse is, it's interesting that they choose this spot. Yeah, I guess they figured the horse had pretty decent work on the turf, but why not? Give it a shot. Not for me.
All right, we still have, how much time do we have here? We got 6 minutes, so we could go back to Horseshoe and then finish up after Horseshoe race 4 here, and then I know I need to let you go in about 20 minutes as well. So.
Yes, thank you.
All right, so again, I'm on the 6, you are on the 3. We're both getting some decent prices for this tournament here. 6 looked good in the paddock. All right, let's see. Here comes the 4. And we're going riders up.
Riders up.
So in the meantime, while we're sitting here, anything you have you looked at Kentucky Downs this weekend? Anything you like there?
Yes. I did look at Kentucky Downs, and to be totally transparent, I am in the King of the Turf handicapping challenge tomorrow. Now, the one thing that got me all jacked up for this tournament, and normally I don't play a lot of Kentucky Downs. I think it's a really, really interesting track. And I will, you have wide open races, you usually get prices. So I've hit a few horses over the years at Kentucky Downs. Now I'm more of a dirt guy, but it's challenging. But I did get a third in their tournament last Thursday, which qualified me for this seat. Now, the reason why that's on my bucket, this tournament was on my bucket list since last NHC, actually 2 NHCs ago, that you get for the winner of this tournament, you're named King of the Turf, right? Yeah. And at the awards dinner at the NHC on Sunday night, they award the belt. And it's a whole big ceremony. You get up there. I think Tom Raps had won it in 23. And I have pictures of him with his belt, and I got my ring that night from the previous year, and it was just fantastic. I'm like, Jesus, how do you get that belt? I want that belt. And the thing is, I'm like, however, if I win it and next year or the year after, Tom, is it the same belt, or they give each of you got to give that belt back as like the championship belt? So I just want the belt. Okay, so I'm really jacked up for this tournament. So I am in tomorrow. So I started handicapping the races on Wednesday. And I put a lot of time into it, and I have what I think I have opinions. Let me put it that way. Mm-hmm. Are they strong opinions? Yeah, strong for play. So I have my strategy all lined up, and it's just a matter of executing the plan and hoping the horses run. So I think it's real challenging. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun tournament tomorrow.
Absolutely. And we'll be live starting at 1:30 Eastern on the stretch run, and we will have Kentucky Downs live as well, just like we're showing HorseShoe today. But the race that was really interesting to me and that I really want to see is Cogburn versus Nobles, who, the Cogburn, the 5.5 furlong wreck for Asmussen against the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint champion. So, without giving anything away, that was the race that I was most interested in. And there's a bunch of horses wheeling back on this card too, really quickly.
I noticed that, and I've keyed those. And usually I like the horses for courses angle. Usually I've seen horses. They won the last time they won was at Kentucky Downs, and then Kentucky Downs pops up and they go off at 10-1. And when they won the last time, they were 23-1, and they went right back a year later. But it's been very speed favoring from what I've seen. Helped me win, helped me get the third because I was playing speed early in the card. But yeah, on this 11th race, I have an opinion. So I'll share part of it, but I will not be using Cogburn. I just think this is such a competitive race, much tougher than the race he comes out of. And there are some horses here who, with the right trip, can. I just think this is just going to be such a crazy race that the trip's going to win. So I probably am interested in a priced horse here, but I'm not going to disclose that yet.
Absolutely. And one other thing to note, we mentioned this last night on the weekend preview show, but horses that have their last race before the Breeders' Cup at Kentucky Downs are 0 for their last 54 in the Breeders' Cup.
Right. I don't doubt that. Yeah.
But it may be why, Cogburn and Nobles here are both shipping in here. This purse is actually larger than the Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint purse. So that may be why they're here. That's
why they're there. It's all about the money, baby. Show me the money, right? I couldn't believe it. There's a race last week was $3 million, that turf race. Obviously turf race. But those purses are so that's why they're all there, and these are competitive races. And if you want to say speed, baby, speed, but it's it's a hard race, a hard track to figure out. But when you do, you get paid rewarded handsomely. So, and again, my approach tomorrow in the contest is, I know this is a track that can yield, long shots like you don't believe. Exactas, I hit a $400 exacta when I hit that tournament. Right. So luckily, because I used 3 or 4 horses, I just got the longer one home. But I have some interesting opinions. I do have the key horses I'm working on, and I am not at this point. I'm not going to deviate from my original plan, but could call an audible. But I am going to be on tomorrow. What about 3:45? Sometime after 3. And the only thing I'll say is hopefully I'll still be alive. Bankroll.
We're hoping we'll be rooting you home for that championship belt. So
I'm sorry, what was that?
I said we're hoping we'll be rooting you home for that championship belt.
All right.
Too.
Thanks. And I'll bring it next year. I'll bring it on the show if you'd like. We'll see you at the NHC, right? You'll be at the NHC, so we can take pictures with the belt.
Yeah, I believe so, and I believe were you able to? So for those people who don't know, we're going to be doing the stretch run live from Keeneland the weekend of October 10th, I believe it is. And I know you were looking into seeing if you could come as well, because I know that's their big contest.
Yes. And
for the fall contest.
Yeah, I absolutely love Keeneland. The first time I was there, it was always on my bucket list. Just never seemed to work out when the meets were in April and October. So I got the chance by winning the NHC, getting a BCBC seat to the British Cup, and that was at Keeneland, which was on my bucket. I love Keeneland. My first visit there. And I was so fortunate to be in the grandstand near the finish line during Flightline's victory. So I got to see one of the greatest horses I've ever seen in my life, if not the greatest live, right there. It was just great. And I just love that track. So I'm making every effort. I expect to be there. But just finalizing my plans.
Excellent. We'd love to have you. I know Matt Miller and Brad and a few other people will be there. We're also trying to get together a meet and greet for any of you who are interested. Just shoot me something on WhatsApp or on Twitter, and I'll make sure you get the sign-up sheet and everything like that.
Right. And I see Mike Sled, he's working at coming. Hopefully we'll see you there, Mike. It's would be fun. Actually, I spoke to Matt shortly before the show began, and he informed me that he's going. I'm like, I'm going to make. I expect to be there, but it's not 100% written. It's in stone at this point.
I'm driving in just because it takes the time it takes to go to the airport and fly, and is not all that dissimilar from the drive. So.
How long does it take you? 6 hours?
About 6 hours. So, I already have my car. Just, it'll be, I've done that Lexington drive many times. Right.
I'm most likely flying into CVG, Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky Airport. Mm-hmm. I did that the last time when I went to the BCBC. It's a short drive. Now, is it 65, 65? Or 75, either way. The interstate. It's not an hour drive. Yeah. So it's just a matter of there's layovers, no direct flights, and it's just so much more affordable than flying into Lexington. It's just I could drive, and it takes me about 9 hours. These flights take 6 hours to go to Lexington. That makes sense. All right, good luck, everybody.
Good luck. Went on the card, a couple in the back. Oscar Villarreal with Halo Buzz. At 5.5 furlongs, one more. Finally, up comes High Cotton Justice at 5.5 furlongs. 4 to 5 favorite, Mr. Negativity. All in. Rough and sprinting. Fast start for High Cotton Justice. Mr. Negativity is right there with the white cap. Forever Lasting, Royal Icing, and Halo Love, all part of a scramble. Looking at Justice and Devil's Gotta
Crazy.
Go. The Black Silks has drifted back to last. Very short lead for Mr. Negativity, being hounded by Halo Love. With High Content Justice just off the duel, now at the 3.5. Royal Icing being bustled along to improve from 4th. Devil's Gotta Go has come past. Forever Lasting and Looking at Justice has dropped back to last. 22.87 seconds. First couple of furlongs, inside 3 furlongs to go. Mr. Negativity tackled by Halo Love. And these two come toward the quarter pole together. Short lead still for Mr. Negativity. With High Content Justice, Devil's Gotta Go straightens away in 4th. Royal Icing, Forever Lasting.
I think
Devil's Gotta
5's
Go on
got
the
me
far
here.
outside. And Looking at Justice, it's Mr.
Yeah.
Negativity. With Alberto Burgos, Mr. Negativity is holding on to a 3-length lead now from Halo Love, who's in full stretch. Devil's Gotta Go continues to run on. Looking at Justice from the back. They're close to home. It's Mr. Negativity. Chased home by Devil's Gotta Go. Photo
Ooh.
finish. Photo, it was close. Devil's
5-2.
Gotta Go. Thrusted at Mr. Negativity.
Keep in mind that the mare is after the mare is after the finish line there.
Right.
the
I
finish
believe.
line.
Yeah, I believe that was 5-2.
I'm not positive. I think the two might have gotten up.
107.01 after the sprint. This is a win
Let's take a
photograph.
look.
Hold all tickets.
I still think it's the 5.
Yeah, I think you got it. I think you're right.
Yeah, 5-2. Oh, here we go. No.
Yeah, I think the 5. Which
All
I
right.
think
My hearing might be going, but my eyes still are okay. Yeah. All right. Let's go. Let's work on this race. I got 10 minutes, and I gotta go get my grandson. So we got the 8th, and actually, it looks like it's going to storm here. Let me put the light on here. It's getting dark in this room.
All right.
So maybe if I put the light on, it'll also shed some light on this race. Bump. All right, so I'm going to go first here because I didn't spend a lot of time. Usually in these qualifiers, in the last race, I just like to have like a decent priced horse, just in case I'm on the cusp of, getting some tour points, and that's where I stand right now. I'd like to qualify. Again, I've got 2 seats, so I'm looking for tour points. So I just want to do well, and I never like to have the favorite in the last race because you look at the board and you're like, oh Jesus, the first, it's 40 entries that get tour points. I'm in 52nd, but I've got an 8-5 shot. It's not going to get me there no matter what. So I don't know if that's the right strategy in these things, but what the hell. So I'm looking for a price like I normally am, but hopefully I get it. Let's see. Morning line 6-1. Yeah, 6-1 is good enough. If I get 4 or 5-1, I'll be happy with it. And that's the 11 Kobe W. This is for Doug O'Neill. First time gelding, which I'm interested in. Kyle Frey picks up the mount. This horse is off a layoff since May and drops way down. So the horse is gelded, drops down. I'm a big fan of Not This Time. This horse should show, let's see, on the pace factor, a moderate amount of speed. He could get shuffled back. He doesn't have a lot of speed, but so I'm going to use the 11. And the other horse I'd be interested in is the 2 Aramax, and that's basically I'm using the EquinEdge's first 2 picks, which is nothing wrong with that. Aramax, second time off a layoff, drops down from 40, puts blinkers on. So I'm going with the 2 horses with equipment changes. One with gelding. I was going to say gelding off, right? Well, we know it's coming off. But gelding, first time gelding, and the other horse, the 2, blinkers on. So it's 11-2 for me, Aldi.
Yeah, so for me, I'm pretty similar to you. So I was the 11 on top, followed by the 2, and then I also had a little bit of interest in the 9 horse, the long shot here. But from a standpoint, I thought one of the things that stuck out to me about the 11 Kobe W was that last 3-star work where the horse, maybe the light bulb just went on for the horse there, is what I'm thinking. And, this is not a very strong field. This horse is dropping from 62.5 optional, maiden optional, to 20K. So that's a pretty big drop.
Yeah.
And, so for me, this was again, you're getting a medium price here from a structure of my plays that this was a spot I wanted to take a chance over the 2, who is 3-1 and 2-1 on the morning line.
Right. And the only other horse I'll mention, Oldie, is I'm scared of this 10 horse. So just for full disclosure, we've got a long time before this qualifier starts. Yeah. And it might be, if you see me with the 10 as my primary pick here, if you're in the contest, don't be surprised. I mean, I'd like to look at the prices before, but obviously this is the last race in the sequence. It's the pick and pray. But, 2 races, this horse had the first turf race going 5, probably too short, didn't show much speed, but then went back to the dirt at Los Al. And both races had trouble lines, blocked in the first run, hit gate in the second one. So now stretching out to a mile, but so I may have some interest in this, financial interest in this 10 also. But at this point, I'm just going to stick with my 11 because if I'm looking to make a decision between 11 or 10, I'm a big fan of the sire, Not This Time. One of my favorite sires. I picked up on his success early, so I'm going with the superior father, the 11 over the 2, and the 10 for maybe I'll play a triple in the race, 2, 10, 11. So,
all right. Well, I got you through this with 5 minutes to spare here.
Perfect.
So I will let you go. We'll call the end of the show here. Thank you, everybody who's been tuning in and been with us. Thank you. We always appreciate you. Yes. We hope to see you tomorrow on the stretch run for live Kentucky Downs racing. And again, thank you. And
thanks, Justin.
Hope you guys have a great Friday. And Justin, thank you very much.
Okay. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in and listening in. I always appreciate all the compliments and all the good words. So may the horse be with you. Let's cash. Later.